What is up, everybody? Okay, hold on. Music's a little loud. Let me just turn that down. Professional streamer, by the way. Okay. Boy, I got some stuff to talk about today. I was just like thinking about like my account reviews and how like there's more variety and like what people should and shouldn't level in golds than there is in silver and bronze, and I was thinking about why that is, and I know why that is, and I'm going to get into that later, but I'm gonna wait in until like the majority of people are in the stream, and that way I don't have to repeat myself. And I'm going to talk about like how I'm going to change the tier list for 3 stars and stuff in the future. And I'm going to say this now because it's going to get asked a million times, and I hope chat can bail me out so I don't have to repeat myself. This is not the 3-star tier list update video, right? It's not. I'm just going to be talking about this stuff and like how I'm probably going to change things, and I'll show a tier list, but I'm not making the video, right? I'm not pump and dumping, thank you. Yeah, if I make a video talking about the 3-star, update, I'm gonna go through each unit again and talk about them individually, and just like I did before. But I am gonna just kind of talk about things have changed and where I think I was wrong and all that. But I mostly just want to talk about some like design things I hope FGO changes in future, and like some just issues they have with low stars that I think are very fixable. But I'm going to do that in a little bit because I want to let the stream fill up, and so I don't have to repeat myself. So this is the Shteno account, and I need to finish this damn event, so we will get on that. I think this is the new goat enemy, which is a reskin of a demon, but they actually gave it some new animations. So it's kind of an animation update for demons in a way. Green can't read this. Oh no, he's here. I wonder if the other one is here. You know who I'm talking about. I don't have to say it. I mean, actually, I can't say it, but I don't have to. If I say him, you know what I'm talking about. You're not getting me, chat. You're not getting me. I don't remember this boss at all. We'll just summon an Ushi because why not? Let's see, what do we want to do here? Is it Cairo? Oh, right. This account is still dog shit. Boy, we gotta work on that. None of the event servants are leveled. That's unfortunate. Is it Ushi at NP1? I don't think so. Probably Hans. Like everyone posting the Canis CD like they don't know what I'm talking about. They know what I'm talking about. Okay. Right. Event CEs exist. Sure, why not? Everybody gets guts. Default, I guess. Alright, go get them. I think they gave out all that XP because they're wanting to help people level to 120 because they know it's the worst experience of all time. And then it's not just that, it's that if you're trying to work on something to 120, you basically can't work on another character. So I think that's why they did it. And that's fine. The problem is I can't level Ku because I don't have any Ku coins. So I can't even use the XP right now. So thanks, game. They give you Pierce and Vulnerability. I guess Armor Ignore would be really good here. I actually think when I did this, I did bring someone with Armor Ignore. But not on this one. Well, let's see. Yeah, I'll get into the main topic for today in a minute. I'll wait until like a few more people are here. Pretty sure this guy has a single target NP, but I'm not sure I ever saw him NP. I don't remember what I did for this stage. I just remember I accidentally brought a team that was like broken for it and I killed him so fast. And I'm guessing this guy like stole our appearance. That's why he's got like, if you look at him, he's got like, he looks like the default Mystic code, right? And that's why we look like the weird doll thing. I'm pretty sure that was a shtick here. Yeah, the master icon is very silly. I'm guessing that guts doesn't stack. I wonder if this is kind of like the Zenobia challenge quest where when you do certain things you get rid of the defense buff and they're like trying to condition you for that. It might just wear off every turn. I have no idea. Look at him missing all the buffs. Okay, good job, Hans. Yeah, who needs an attack and defense buff? I'm gonna pay attention. 666. How about that? They know what they're doing. Okay, I have no idea what makes him lose defense stacks. I actually didn't need to do that right there. Well, they're all gone. Okay, well that's kind of disappointing. I like how they went away before your attack went off, so you could have actually NP'd there if you happen to have it. See, that is like a customized animation to, it's like, it's the normal demon crit animation, but they made it AoE, right? And they added like particle effects to it and stuff. But normally it only hits one person. And I don't know about its crit. Guess we'll find out. I don't even know why they give you Pierce and Vulnerability here, because I don't think... I'm gonna go... fuck, I was gonna go slow-mo so I could see the boss's NP clearer. I could have broken there. That is definitely AoE. And he slept Ushi. Did not sleep George. OP! David just plays a harp in it. It's so bad it wakes them up. Toxic. I mean, he did wake Ushi up. 97? Yeah, I didn't say he wasn't passionate. I'm not questioning how passionate he is about the music. I'm questioning how good he is at it. Chat, if David was good at the harp, then they clearly would have given him an animation update where he played the harp when you click the second skill. They didn't do that, did they? This is irrefutable logic. We're actually having a really bad time right now. Let's not lose to this. He insta-deathed me? Yeah, that's fair. Okay, I think we're gonna lose to the stupid demon because he just killed Ushi. I like how Ushi had. I need more taunts or something, but I like how Ushi had all of her buffs about to come back. She just got her NP. We had David's attack up. You know, we're ready to nuke, and it's just like, lol, no. I think we're gonna lose. That's kind of sad. Let's see. I could save David, but I don't think there's much point. Sucks using Mash's taunt when she doesn't have her art card. Or either of her art cards. We're gonna fucking lose! How about that, chat? That's what I get for not having a writer. Oh, fuck you, game. I should have used Protoku's first skill. I like how they don't wake up because they have invulnerability and evade. Yeah, dude, we're not even close. We're super wrecked. BFA is kind of bad here because we keep getting hit and not woken up. Okay, we gotta make some adjustments here. Chat, I did the Shadow Knights of the Round Table last night. On an A, and I got so lucky on my first try. I didn't even think I'd beat it on my first try, but I cannot describe to you how lucky I got. So through the whole fight, not once did I get the crit requirement or the NP requirement. Never. Even when they got double, right? When they get like 2 at a time, never got it. So and then not only that, but no matter what the requirement was, I always had it. Like when it was quick, I would have a quick card every time. So I never missed a shield at any point, and everything just went really smoothly with like getting, because I used my Summer Masashi, and she just always got her art cards when she needed them, and everything else, like it was always perfect. Not only did I win, but most of my front row never died, and it still ended with Billy shooting Gwen in the face. So that was nice. But yeah, it was unbelievable how lucky that was. All right, I want to summon something that's not going to just be an LOL carry. So I liked the Ushi there. I might need to slot my own because most things are going to just be OP or under. Like guys, I wonder if Ozzy with an event CE. I wonder if he can do it, guys. Here, I got my phone up. I can just slot Ushi. I think Ushi's fair. We'll beat this and then we'll get into the talk. How many times did you get your buffs removed? Never, because like the timing on like when their bars broke was kind of odd. And so like that turn where Tristan is like scripted to do it never happened. And like when he was going to do it, he had the NP instead, and then he died the turn after. So I actually never had my buffs removed. But I've done that fight on JP several times, so I'm aware of how that normally goes. But yeah, I'm gonna get my Ushi because my Ushi has better skill ranks. Buff Ozzy again. So I'm gonna get into it, but I think they are gonna buff Ku again, and I'm gonna get into why that's really stupid and just something really simple this game could do to fix things. But I'm gonna get into that once we beat the stage, because we just got smacked by a goat. Wait, don't I already have Ushi slotted? I do, so I just need to log in. Or I'll give her Golden Sumo. A legend. I just gave a VC Braun a totally random craft essence that makes no sense on him. I think it was Art of Death, which actually I guess makes some sense on him because I've actually got his passive maxed, so he can actually turn 1 NP without any starting NP, which is pretty good. Alright, what do we want to change here? David is good because he can get rid of the sleep. I guess that's good too. Now obviously I could give Ushi an event CE, but I don't want to do that. It's kind of interesting not having a proper DPS here. How was Hans here? He was alright. George was... I guess we stick with this. I think we just mostly use Atlas and try to go faster. Ku is the only Lancer, yep. That's actually what I'm gonna... That's part of what I'm gonna talk about, and he's not the only class like that. Look at this guy stalling. I'm gonna save Hanzo's third skill for building up the next NP, I think. So I think it's at the start of the next turn that these just disappear. I like how he doesn't even have, like, there's no timer on it. How much faith am I gonna have to just NP blindly next turn? I should have counted last time. Hey, if Soldier H was obtainable, I'd grail him. I'd grail him. Well, the only reason we lost is because I'm not like really trying to win, because I'm trying to win, but I'm not using like the event CE on a rider, you know, I'm not going ham here. I'm not summoning anything worth a fuck. But you put an event CE on a rider and this is gonna go away pretty quick. Okay, I'm gonna have... The only thing is we have literally no Ushi cards right now, which makes using our first skill bad. I actually think I don't cast it then. What a shitty hand. Just the way the deck shuffled, really. Hey, we got it right though. Maybe you all trying to overwork Sanson. Got a hard enough day, man. So they made a little comic of like Sanson versus Asclepius, and it kind of sucks because they don't go into the abilities of either servant at all, and the fight is very inconclusive, and it's just like, that's like all the fights are, because they don't want to like alienate any of the fans, which is stupid, because in all the actual Fate works, servants die. It's like, what are you gonna do? And like, if you don't actually detail like the servant abilities and stuff, it's just not that interesting. Okay, what do I want to do here? I can save Hans if I want to, which I would like to do, but I don't know if it's worth using the skill on it. Probably is not, because I think you need it for Ushi. Bonk, good. Yeah, the art's fine. It's just, it's kind of shallow is what I'm getting at. It's kind of like when you have like two big franchises do a crossover thing, and it's like this versus that. You know, they don't really respect the actual abilities of the thing, and they just make them two sides of the same coin, or they're equal or whatever. You know, and it's just like, it's bullshit. Do I evade here? Or do I want to wait? Nah, she's got 2 art cards, so we do it. Wait, did he insta-kill me there or something? I guess he just deletes your guts there. Huh. Because, David still has it. Maybe it's, like, limited or something, but Ushi lost it, even though she didn't die. The fights were decided by popular vote. Yeah, that's how you that's legit. Dude! Fuck you! Like, out of all the units, are you kidding me? She, again, has her NP, just next turn is gonna completely evaporate him, and then just, of course that's what he does. That's what I was saying, I need another taunt. Oh my god, that's so dumb. I think we lose again. There's just this account is so weak. If it doesn't have a rider, there's no way it's ever gonna kill this guy. That is so dumb. Spider-Man beats Superman. I don't even like Superman, but that's just nonsense. Oh, I'm mad. And his first skill is low rank, so the anti-debuff's not as strong. We might still win, we'll see. These hands are garbage. Like both times Mash didn't get an art card on her taunt turn. See, the easy way to beat this is you just have 2 riders in case the one gets to death and the other rider just kills it. But this account literally has no rider leveled. Let's see. He's got a Brave Chain. Atlas is not really doing anything here. This is so dumb though, because if Ushi just didn't get insta-killed for that 1 turn, we would have been fine. And now we have no damage. There's no reason to level Rider Liz, I would just level Ushi. Probably should have used my 3rd skill last turn. Oh, I haven't done his strengthening quest, so he doesn't have the Star Absorb, so it doesn't matter. Do I Art Chain? Yeah. Dude, I'm so salty that Ushi died on her NP turn twice, and it was literally the first turn of that health bar. Like, that's so dumb. I wonder what her death rate is. Okay, Guts goes off here. The problem is we get slept. I actually think I have to invulnerability then, and just hope I don't get insta-death. It's better to have do Guts now in case you get, you know, impede and insta-death. But then you won't wake up when you have invulnerability. So I have to invulnerability now, and then wake up from getting hit in Guts. That's kind of fucked up, but that's kind of how you gotta do it. So no point in quick chaining because I'm gonna get slept most likely. So I'm not gonna crit next turn, so do the higher damage now. Even when Superman's not, like, you know, because obviously the power of the pin is a big thing with Superman, but, you know, even his just baseline stuff is just, even at his worst, right, he's still way stronger than most superheroes. This is where having the command code to block sleep would be really good. I think he procced insta-death there, but it didn't matter because of Guts. 1 turn on this, so we lose. Dude, it's so dumb that we lose here because it's just because fucking Ushi died on turn 1. Like, what a joke. Like, I'm not even gonna change the team because there's no reason to change the team. You just need to get better RNG. The thing is, you don't. It's actually bad when writers like have to pull shit out of their ass to try to justify why a character lost when they shouldn't. The trick is to don't set up your story where that kind of thing needs to happen, right? Don't use Superman in your story then, right? Or like if you're going to use him in a way where he doesn't need to, you know, fight the main bad guy, you know, and then lose, so then the main character can then beat the main bad guy. You know, don't do that, right? It's, I would say that with Gilgamesh, it's like, don't use him all the time, right? And if you do use him, don't use him in a way where he needs to, you know, fight like that. It's just dumb. It's like, it's bad writing. What a face. Honestly, I should probably put Ushi in the back, because I don't really get why, but for some reason she doesn't get the guts. I wonder if it's just, oh, it's because of the CE, that's why. And sorry, because like the other units aren't counterclassing, so I didn't care if I gave them the CE. That's why they have guts. I get it now. I kind of forgot that CE had guts, because I out of all the units I was testing earlier, we didn't really use that one. I think we used it for a Reshagal, and that was like it. Okay, let's see. Good opening hand. Although actually it's too many cards, because now she won't have cards when she NPs. Okay, it's next turn that it goes away. If George was more leveled, I could Atlas him and then taunt again on the second in bar, and that way she would be less likely to get insta-death. I guess Hans has like all of his NP gain in the next hand. That's unfortunate. I could have crit there. Oh no, the defense up, no point. Hey, thank you for the resub. Jesus. Is it dysfunctional Mason or something? Anyway, look, there's no caps! I mean, what the fuck? I remember we had this conversation last time. Okay, the buffs go away. It's not a particularly good turn to crit. I don't know if this turn makes any sense, but I'll take the one crit. It'd have been awesome if that quick card in the first hand that I skipped, if I still had it in the deck, and I could quick here. Well, not to be. You see, like, Lonely's name is nice and easy to read, right? No problem there. Damn, that probably wasn't worth it. That wasn't enough damage. Didn't help that Hans didn't get his NP. Will she break 33? If I do the Buster, obviously, but I want to Art Chain. She doesn't break, it's not worth it to Art Chain. 33k, she's got... I'll have faith. Hans just land the attack buff. Dashes work too. Although if you're gonna use dashes, you should still capitalize, you know, the first letter in each word. Okay, 96%, so we'll get it off the NP hitting us. It's actually, I think, a bit faster than last time. Last time it took me one more turn to get my NP, so there was more chance to get insta-death. One more chance. Okay, so no one died, so David can't remove the sleep. That's kind of annoying, but we'll use this. Okay, we should win now because, you know, we can actually NP, which is not even that hard to accomplish. It was just awful RNG there. Thanks, game. See, what a nice opening line from a first-time viewer. So often when I see texts from a first-time viewer, it's just like, you know, snarky nonsense or insulting stuff or, you know, just bullshit. This guy just says hi, right? Like nice, normal, regular human being thing to do, right? Nice, pleasant hello. Why are we... Did we get insta-death again? What happened? I look away for 1 second and I'm dead. So I assume we got insta-death again. But at least she got her NP off, so it's fine. This fucking game, man. Mash actually got an art card. Incredible. Look at... How is George outliving Ushi, by the way? Right? Like George actively sought death because he taunted and faced, you know, take quite a bit of damage there. And I didn't use any like Mystic Code resources and stuff like that on him. I used it all on Ushi. So, like, how does that work? Somehow George gets to NP. I don't even... Now, if David gets slept, he can't remove the sleep from other people. A little awkward. Guess I don't care if Mash dies. I was gonna try to get her NP, but I don't think it matters. What's our NP rank on George? NP 2. Yeah, I would get him. Nothing like 1 to 3 stars that aren't NP 5. He's also got an attack down. 50k though, it's still something. If he was NP 5 and didn't have the attack down, it'd be... I like how no one else got slept because they're dead. So on my main account, I beat this stage so fast that I have no idea how much health this guy comes back with. Like, not a clue. Probably not that much. I think he has multiple guts. I kind of have memory of that. Yep. So I need David to wake up so we can target switch. Of course not. Of course not. Some days, man. Some fucking days. Are you kidding me, man? Like, I could kill this guy like 3 times right here. But we might actually lose now. It depends on what happens. Need no one to die. We have guts though, I guess it's okay. Alright, I think we kill him here. Okay, Jesus. That actually work. How dare they? That's kind of fun though. So this would have been a fun main story fight, like in Babylonia or something. It's kind of in like that power range. It's actually harder than some of the boss fights in Babylonia, I would say. It's not as hard as like Corrupted Ushi or something. I think we get the Grail now. Okay, I'm gonna get into the topic here in a second. As soon as I get the Grail, we'll... get into it. It's a cool sprite. Yeah, they're like hinting at either, you know, the Whore of Babylon or B666 or something right there. It's not really clear what they're hinting at. Or it might be a completely different thing, we'll see. But yeah, they're kind of foreshadowing another event. Not sure how many grails this account has, but I'm not grailing until we beat 1.0. And once I beat 1.0, then I'll grail things. Fucking Liz, man. You know what I didn't need in my life? Liz constantly singing. I can do without, honestly. Man, I could beat the challenge quest on this account, no problem. But they won't let me do it. I should have just zerged through the beginning part of the story just so I could beat these challenge quests, man. But I don't want to waste the boss fights, it's no fun. Let's see, we're at Babylonia on this account, so that's 2 more grails, and then 1 more for Solomon. So whatever I've got, we'll have 3 above that. Let me check here. Jeez, so we basically have 16 in the bag, and then obviously we'll get more from Epic of Remnant and Lost Belts and all that, so it's gonna have plenty to mess around with. Okay, so where do I even start with this? Let me, so I'm gonna kind of, hey Zerp, what's up, man? I'm gonna tackle like 2 topics here. I'm gonna I'm not doing the update to the 3-star tier list video right now, but I'm gonna talk about like how the tier list is gonna change and whatnot. And I wanna just talk about like some really dumb like balance gaps and just issues they have, and the fact that they haven't added a new 3-star in years when there's massive holes in the budget lineup. I've heard people say, "There's like, oh, what else could they add?" There's a million things that they could add for low stars, and it's okay to have derivative stuff. They already have some units that are pretty similar to each other, and it just gives you options, and that's fine, right? That's actually a good thing. So, but the first thing I want to talk about, and I'm going to use Ku as Lancers. I'm going to use Lancers as the example. But this applies to like Ushi and Riders and a lot of the low star stuff. So let's see. I'm going to just roughly approximate where I would put these. A plus might be a little too good. B plus or A. B. Probably like that. He might be B plus now. It's something like that, right? It's something like that. And this is, you know, like maybe here or here. And here, I'll turn my mouse on. That probably will help here. Oh, I already have it on. Okay. Anyway, so here's like a real problem I have with FCO. So Taiga, excuse me. That's probably in something like that. They're around the same as Dearmid, to be honest. Although she has more like straightforward value. He's got the lower cooldowns on survivability, which matters, and he's got the buff removal, which matters. They're about the same, though. I'd say they're about the same. I don't know, maybe I'd put Taiga ahead. I might put Taiga a little bit ahead, especially because there's no budget quick support. That really is relevant when you're looking at things from a free-to-play perspective. It really is. So it's something like this, But okay, so here's a real issue I have with this game, and again, this applies to a lot of the classes. So if you'll have noticed, when I've done account reviews, right? A lot of times when we talk about like what golds they have available, we'll really factor in like, do they have Merlin? Yes or no? And they'll say if it's no, but they have Scatty, so then quick is, you know, better, or they've got Castoria, so on and so forth. Like that kind of affects what makes sense for them to level if you're looking at it from a pure practicality standpoint, right? But if you haven't noticed, that doesn't affect low stars very much. And a really big reason for that is because there's like a lot of times with the low stars, there's one or two that are just so much better than the other ones, it doesn't freaking matter, right? So for example here, Ku is so much better than Baldy, or even Diarmid, or Taiga. Let's use Taiga because she's Buster and Ku is quick, right? If you have Merlin, you know, that's gonna bump her up to like, you know, somewhere in here, but it's still generally not worth it. It literally is not, unless you're specifically just wanting to Buster stack for like the fun of it. It still doesn't really make sense. If you're like, okay, I don't have a good, strong Lancer. I need to level one of the free-to-play Lancers, right? Which one should I level? If you're doing it from a practice, now Taiga's good enough that if you like her and you want to use her, you can do that, right? But there's literally no reason to level her, even if you're wanting to focus on Buster, because she's that far behind. And then you might say, well, what about Castor or Toria? There is no Art Lancer, and that gets back to the other issue I was talking about, where it's like them not adding 3 stars in forever. Why don't we have a single target Art Lancer and then an AoE Art Lancer and then maybe like a hybrid support one, right? That's you literally don't even have an Art Lancer for 1 to 3 star, right? So if you've noticed, when I've given people advice, like if they're lacking a Lancer, if they don't really have any DPS Lancer, or they have maybe one gold one but they're kind of iffy and they could, you know, use another one, it's always Ku. The answer is always Ku, even when they have Castoria but they don't have Scatty, or if they have Merlin and they don't have you know, Scatty, because, you know, obviously Ku's best with Scatty and stuff like that. Like it doesn't matter, right? Ku is always the answer, and that's kind of dumb because it doesn't need to be that way. Because there's always going to be a top tier. Like there's always going to be someone that's the best, or an overall the best, even if someone else is like, okay, Taiga's maybe better in this one niche, or Diarmid's better in this other niche, you know, if it's the right circumstance. But overall, you're gonna have more circumstances where Ku is better. That's fine. I'm not asking for, like, you know, it to be like this, right? That's not what I expect, right? I don't expect that at all. The issue is when the gap is as large as it is, right? Like the gap is huge, and the only Lancer now that's kind of close is Proto-Ku, but Proto-Ku is outrageously similar, and like he's quick, right? So it's like you level either one of them if you're trying to focus on quick. It's not like, oh, this one for art and this one for quick and then this one for burst and this one for, like you level them for the same reasons for the most part, right? So there's no variety there. And so like if Baldy was like, you know, here, if everyone was like this, maybe get that, you know, if it looked more like this, it's like, okay, well, yeah, Ku is still the best, but I mostly focus on Buster stuff and I've got good Buster support, so I'm a level Taiga because, you know, she's in striking distance and this is fine. But it's absolutely not how it is. Some people act like that's how it is, but like that's copium. Like that's absolutely copium. Like if they're not in striking distance, the practical difference between Baldy and Ku is so massive. It's just ridiculous. And it's the same thing for Diarmid and Romulus and all that kind of stuff. Now, at least the problem with Romulus and Hector, they're kind of a unique one because Romulus and Hector are AoE. And they're the only AoE for Lancer, and neither of them are actually, if you notice, like, this is roughly what they would look like on a tier list if I made one, right? And a B plus is not so high that it's like, oh, must level, right? It's not. It's like, yeah, if you really need the thing, it can fill in the role and it can be helpful, and in the right context, it might even be really good. But it's not like, you know, oh yeah, you want to level this, where, like, some of the other low stars, you know, it's like really easy to recommend leveling them, right? Even if they are AoE. Like it's kind of hard to recommend leveling any of the Lancers. And yeah, so here's a funny little thing talking about like how they've buffed things, right? So I remember when Baldy came out, right? When Big Baldy came out, back then we had just gotten 4-star foe items, right? So no one was 2K foe yet. There was no way. You could not be 2K foe yet. And there weren't command codes. And if there were, they were so early, like you didn't really have a good like selection yet. You didn't have the faux pas. So what I'm getting at is when Baldy released, his potential was lower than it is now, right? Because all units can be stronger now because command codes make a real difference. And especially for a unit like Baldy, because he's got some real gaps in his kit and he's got some real vulnerabilities, and command codes can offset those a bit, and that really helps him. I would say command codes help Baldy more than they help Ku, right? So it kind of, he got disproportionately helped by that, and that's good. That's fine. But what I'm getting at is, so back then, back in the day, Baldy was weaker than he is now. Even though he hasn't been buffed, Baldy's actually stronger now than he used to be. And I remember everyone saying, you know, he was going to be so good and blah, 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 and he could solo Herc and Nerofest. And then as we see when Nerofest came back, and even though now Baldy has command codes and he has faux pas and 2K foe and stuff, he still couldn't solo the damn thing. Where Ku could solo it before Ku got buffed, right? The vanilla day one Ku can solo, you know, Nerofest Herc, and a lot of that value in a solo there. Some stuff in a solo does not translate to team play, but a lot of what like Ku and Baldy actually do does translate to team play. And actually, I would say Ku translate better to team play than Baldy. People act like, it's weird. I see two camps with Baldy. One says Baldy's true potential can only like be in a solo, or you like set him up with buffers and let them die quickly with like taunts, so then he goes into solo with buffs. And others say, oh no, he's not. You can't judge him by his solo performance. You got to judge him by his team performance. But really, both of them are bad, like, because he's so RNG either way. But his RNG in a team setting is just outrageously RNG. Where Ku's got like universal value that, you know, translates, you know, from a solo to a team play. He's going to live a long time. He's going to get the damage in, you know, eventually. And it's just easy to translate. But so what I'm getting at is when Baldy released, Ku was better. When Baldy released, Ku was better. And guess who they buffed twice, right? And I like Ku and everything, but like, this is what I'm getting at. I don't want Ku to be the only Lancer that makes any sense to level from a budget perspective, right? I don't like that. That's boring, right? I like Ku and everything. I'm a big Ku fan, but I don't see, and I'm fine if Ku's the best Lancer, but he doesn't need to be the only, like, really, you know, good Lancer for budget, right? It's okay, like I said, if it looks more like this, right? You know, like if we could get like you know, some of the, like this, look at this, like how much healthier this is, right? Because then they're all easily viable and you can easily have fun with them. And again, with just Taiga right here, if you have Merlin and you don't have Scatty and stuff, it makes a lot of sense to focus on Taiga, right? And that's good. But then, like I said, there's the other issue where there's not even an Art Lancer, right? And this just applies to all the classes, and I think they all have gaps like this. And there's just no reason for it to be that way. So that's my TED Talk. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to roughly update my tier list, right? Because I haven't done it in a long time. This is, again, not going to go on YouTube. I'm not making the 3-star tier list update. Because when I do that, I'm going to do more testing. I'm going to talk about each unit. I'm going to really, you know, get nitty gritty here. But what I want to do is I want to look at my original tier list from, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. And then, even though they haven't added any new units, things have been buffed. You know, I've tested things even more. There's been new boss fights. You know, things have changed. So I want to see where, like, my opinion has just evolved, and also just where, you know, units have changed because of buffs and command codes, and the content's been mixed up and stuff like that. And for, like, here, I can bring it up here. So this is the old tier list. So I'm going to match this, and then I'm going to adjust it, right? But for example, Medea is probably going to go down. Normally, if other units get buffed, that doesn't make me lower a unit. But Medea is like a unique case where I actually think Medea is worse now, even though, you know, she hasn't been nerfed or anything. It is because other units have been buffed to do what she does. And the reason that matters is because the only reason Medea really made any sense is because she was like the only budget unit that could do buff removal, and buff removal is extremely valuable. So, you know, even though she was kind of in a lot of ways, what she did was just so good that it was very easy to recommend leveling her, right? It was very easy to recommend leveling her. But I don't feel like that's the case anymore, because now you do have other options, right? Now you do have Alex, Phantom, even Bin K, right? There's just a lot of other ways to get buff removal, that the one reason that Medea was really worthwhile is not really special to her anymore. And then her raw value against assassins, I feel like the only time you really want to use her now, and this does happen, and it happened in 5.5, and it's happened in a few other main stories and even challenge quests, there are times where you want buff removal and you're fighting an assassin specifically, right? And when that's the case, I think she is still better than the other buff removal options like Alex, but that's it. right? If it's not specifically an assassin, or maybe you want her debuff clear or something like that, unless you specifically need that stuff, but you're not going to need that often, because she's not that good against an assassin. That's the thing. If there's just like a passing, you know, like, oh, I just kind of need some value against an assassin, or you need massive damage against an assassin, she's not going to cut it, right? And because she just does, she's just like a little backup, right? And if the backup's not relevant, if it's not make or break, then, you know, it's kind of like, who cares, right? So she's not. I have just found it. She's become so much rarer, not just from my gameplay, but other low star people, right? Like I find that I use her a lot less. I've seen the other low star players use her a lot less. Like I've just seen her almost disappear ever since they added all these other units that have buff removal. I just don't really see the use of Medea. So there's a few units like that, but she's probably the only one that I think from low stars that's really gotten wrecked that way. Boy, looking at this as I'm copying this over, I already see some things like, even though some of these units have been buffed, I'm absolutely going to change their placement. Like some of these, I'm like, yeah, like Medusa and Columbus. I can see my logic. They both are AoE. They both have battery. Both have quick charge. Right? They both just get their MP really quickly and reliably. They both have damage up. So they're very similar. They both can get the job done. They can both be kind of a generic AoE farming unit and used in challenge quests and stuff. But I think the reason, I suspect, the reason I put Columbus there is because of him having guts. So he has the potential to survive like an enemy NP on his own and things like that. And he's got some team support. And those are reasonable reasons. Those are things that he has over Medusa. Medusa has no team support, and she has no hard survival. However, I feel like Medusa's higher damage for herself, and then her stun is better, right, than that. Like, it's close. I think they are close. I don't think it's like a world where it's like, oh man, Columbus sucks, and, you know, he's just blown out of the water, and, you know, that's that. I don't think it's like that at all. But if I was going to lean towards either of them, I'd probably lean towards Medusa. But we'll see. We'll get into that in a second. Where did I already put Fuma on here? Nope. Man, there's a lot of stuff in A tier, so it's kind of. Okay, I'm gonna just get the right stuff in the right tier, then I'll worry about the order that they are in. Babbage is going to change a lot. His buff was so big. Oh my gosh, his buff was ginormous. So he's going to go up a lot. I've tested him quite a bit, so I'm pretty confident in him going up a lot. Where's Hector? Right way down here. Too many units here. It's hard to find where they are. Like, I could probably guess where they're supposed to be, and I'd probably be more accurate or do it faster than actually looking at the old list and trying to match it. Because I know how I think, and I don't think I was that wrong back in the day. There are also, like I said, a few things that I've changed my opinion on a bit, but nothing too drastic. The main thing is definitely the buffs. Let's see. Where the hell is Fergus? Probably A. Yep. I'm surprised I put Jin K in B, because that was before she was buffed. I don't think that's right. I really think she's more C+. I really do. Because, like, C+ is not total dog shit. Like, because, you know, Geronimo gets a lot of hate, but Geronimo is usable. He really is. And so I feel like Jin K was C+. Maybe B now, with the way she is now. You know, she's still kind of bleh, but... Let's see. Guessing he's A. He's A. I actually don't agree with Antonio being A anymore. I think he's more B+. There are circumstances that he's, like, really good in. But I agree with Darius being B+ at the time, but he's probably A now, I would say. I don't actually agree with Izo being A+. I think A is more right, because A is super good. A is like can do what they're supposed to do very well. Like, that's what it is. Like, they're maybe not going, you know, way above and beyond, but I feel like that's more correct with Izo. I don't know. He's kind of like in between A and A+. So he's either bottom A+ or top A, which I do have my bottom A+, which is probably right. Angra's not a 3-star. Don't you bring that in here? Yeah, wow, that's there are definitely a few minor gripes with this that I would change, like even before their buffs. Okay, let me get them in the right placement, and then we can get into this here. All right, so it goes Asclepius, Bedivere, I forgot his name, Caesar. So Romulus is not supposed to be here. He's supposed to be B+. This is there. So she got buffed as well. She got the heal, so that's something that's different. Okay, and then I do see like Columbus is at the bottom of A, and then Medusa's at B+. So it's like I'm obviously rating them very close together, but I'd be more likely to put them right next to each other, or Medusa a bit ahead. That I think is more accurate. I think I overrated Kid Gil. I've used him quite a bit recently, and it's like he's fine. He does what an AoE archer needs to do, but you don't even need an AoE archer that often, aside from a Rosh, and his lack of survival is just such a problem. But he does have some team support, like 20%'s no joke. So he's like B+ or A. He's like, you know, he got buffed, but his buff was very low impact. Very, very low impact. Come on, there you go. Okay, then Mori. Nope. Oh, Casku. Who killed the music? I killed the music, excuse me. Alright, this is almost right. I think this is correct now. Oh wait, no, B tier is still off. Okay, I think this is pretty much my 3-star tier list video right here. Okay, so first thing, Gilius got buffed, but it doesn't help that much. I do think it's enough for him to be better than Hyde. Like Hyde sucks. Worst like low B unit ever. He's so bad. No reason to use him ever. Just absolute garbage. And I love him to death. He's one of my, you know, favorite low stars, but he's just terrible. Gilius is still terrible, and Gilius's buff will be a lot better if he gets another buff to like combo with it. So he's a little bit better, but he's still really bad. So I think D+ is generous. Like his buff was barely enough to really change, right, the ranking. But I'll give him D+. I think it's enough. Phantom Phantom is not a 3-star, so. Okay, so I still agree with what I've got here for Saber Gilius and Geronimo. Neither of them have been buffed. The content hasn't changed in a way that really it's like, oh, it's right up their alley. Like, there's new content, guys. You know, that Fluffy boss fight right up Gilius's alley. No, it's not. And I don't see future challenge quests being up their alley, really. They're exactly the same. So not only have they not changed, I agree with my past assessment, they are noticeably better than Gilius and Hyde, though. Like, noticeably. Geronimo has an upgraded NP, he's got art up, he's got debuff resistance for the team and all that. Like, there are things there that work, right? Okay, so who has changed? So Babbage. Okay, Babbage has changed. And he has changed a lot. His buff was so significant. Not only did he get a massive crit buff that combos with his attack up, but he also gets Star Bomb, and then it's not tied to his Star Absorb, so he can choose to give the stars to someone else or to use the Star Absorb, because his Star Absorb skill is easy to not click. You can just not click it. It's not a big deal. It's not tied to anything else that's that important. So he has great options like that. So he's way better. And yeah, chat's pretty much guessing right. It's A+. I think that's fair. He's not quite up there with like Ushi and stuff. He's not quite there, but he's very close. He's very similar. Now the question is where in A+. So some of these A+, I think Hohenheim's not as... I think I've overestimated Hohenheim a bit. He is good, he is useful, but as I've been doing more budget stuff, I'm really not finding that many uses for him, right? Does not pan out that much. You're still normally better off with just more generic support like Hans, or even Chen Gong. Even if you are art, sometimes Chen Gong is still better, or even Mozart and stuff. He's good, but I do think, here, I'll put him in limbo here. I need a limbo. Okay, we'll use S+, because none of the 3 stars are strong enough right now, I think, to go to S+. Because like S is already so above and beyond, right? Like, I think that's fine. But this is limbo, so he's not the... I'll just... There we go. Because I don't want anyone to think he's going to, you know, the strongest 3-star. He's not. But where do I put Babbage with these? And anything else? I might lower Alex a little bit. I think like he's good. I think Alex, as you see in my count reviews, I recommend him all the time. But maybe not that good. I'm thinking... So Izo's probably going to go to A, somewhere in A. Maybe like top A. That already I like more. That feels about right for Babbage. I might even put Babbage ahead of Caesar just because of Caesar's complete lack of survivability and slow NP gain. But Caesar still has good team support and some of the best raw damage you're going to get in the game. And he scales very well and everything. So that's about right. An interesting thing, I actually think I overrated Ushi in the original video, and I think I overrated Robin. However, now Ushi's been buffed, and I think she's roughly in the right place. So I've thought about Ushi versus 100 Face a lot, and I've tested it a lot. I mean, a lot. It's one of the things I've tested the most. I've tested them solo, burst versus sustain, team, budget versus non-budget. I've been testing them against each other over and over and over and over and over again. And in raw oomph, 100 Face is actually better, and I've seen that pretty clearly, that if it's a burst scenario, Ushi's better, but 100 Face is really close, and if it's a longevity scenario, 100 Face is a good bit ahead, right? So that overall puts it in 100 Face's favor, but in a team setting, 100 Face can completely take care of herself, and that's good, but Ushi gives team support, and that really matters. She gives the whole team NP up, she gives the whole team attack up, you know, other people can benefit from the Star Bomb. Hey, MFJ. Mordred's S tier, no hearts. I don't know about gameplay. If I ever did a 5-star tier list, she'd be decently high. She'd be high among the AoE units. Anyway, so in solo and that kind of thing, I think 100 Face is better, but for overall usefulness, Ushi's close, and then Ushi is overall better in a team, in my opinion. Obviously, if you're fighting a Rider, 100 Face is better. And 100 Face, the crit down is no joke, and I guess the crit down is team support. It really is. 50% crit down is the most crit down you're ever going to get from just a single application like that. And it's 3 turns. It's so easy to apply and keep up. I mean, it's close. I think they are so neck and neck. But Ushi's NP gain for the team and attack for the team is not a joke. And then she's very powerful. I don't know, though. When I think about that crit down and how impactful that is, I'm actually kind of convincing myself that it actually might be 100 Face. I think the takeaway is they're both super, super, super good. And what I was just talking about earlier in the stream about how like the Lancers are really broken and how Ku is so much better that there's just, even if you don't have a quick support, you're better off leveling Ku if you need a budget like backup Lancer. It's the same thing for 100 Face and Ushi. They're just so good that they're always the practical option, right? Even if you're wanting to do quick stuff, you still would probably level 100 Face, right? She's just that much better. And I think I've really proven that over the years. Like, I've used her on level 70 on a lot of accounts. Like, we've gone through Epic of Remnant, and she, level 70, unupgraded, 100 Face, can just solo the Raikou portion of the Shoot and Raikou fight. No other level 70, assassin can do that. They have to have help. And not only can 100 Face do it, but because you might have like those weird awkward turns where you're not in a last man standing yet, like the other units lingering and taking your cards away, her heal and everything allows her to stabilize during that part and not just die too soon. Other assassins are really susceptible to that. Like Serenity could never do that. Serenity could never fucking do that. She can work in that fight, but the rest of the team needs to pick up the slack, right? So yeah, 100 Face is busted. I honestly don't know where I'd place them. Like, if it was before Ushi's buff, I would definitely say it's 100 Face over Ushi, and I think my original video was wrong. Hey, my Indu, thank you for the 13 months, over a year. But because of Ushi's buff, I think I'll keep it as it was, and I think that is the right place to put them. Let's see though. Let's go back down though. We're getting ahead of ourselves here. Yeah, I like the hyper mode. Yeah, clearly Robin is above everyone. So I should have put Limbo down below instead of above. Here, I'll put them in the blank. Kind of sucks because then you can't see them, but that's probably the better way to do this. I can just cut the S+. There we go. Now we can see everybody. That's way better to just put them in blank like that. Okay. Amy, okay, so I think I rated her wrong. I think she should have been C+, but then because she has gotten buffed, she still has got so many problems though. Like, she doesn't have enough damage to warrant her absolute lack of survivability, and then her buff was just crap and it's super niche, and the uptime is so much worse than Kojiro's. I should about say the same. Now Serenity's looking a little bit better these days. Now she's still struggling with all the problems that she's always had with She doesn't do enough damage compared to 100 Face, and like 100 Face is so much loopability and everything. But Serenity's fine, it's just she doesn't have survivability. If she had survivability, I would actually rate her kind of high. But she does have some nice utility. The poison stuff really only matters if you're working with shooting. But it's still there. You get the crit skill, and you know, it's okay NP damage, and there's solid utility there. She's got the stars and stuff. It's okay. She is definitely usable, and I think low B plus is pretty fair these days. I'd say low B plus is pretty fair. The exact placement I might adjust here in a second, but I think low B plus, like, she has uses. She absolutely does. Like, it's not going to be hard to fuck up a rider boss with her, right? You can do it. There are drawbacks. She's not going to super carry, but yeah, I think B plus is fair because B is usable, right? B is usable, and then B plus is like usable and sometimes even really meta, right? But not like super often, right? And I think that's fair for Serenity. Okay, Baldy, I think is exactly where he needs to be. He's so overrated. He's one of the most overrated units in all of FGO. He's so RNG dependent. He doesn't even have that much peak value. He's just super meh. He's just super meh. I don't think he's good enough to get the job done if you really try sometimes, but there's no real reason to. If anything, I'd actually think he might need to be a little bit lower just because he's so impractical. He's so impractical. And Hector is definitely a unit I need to test more. He's actually one of the least tested 3-stars I have, and I've used him and I've definitely tested him, but he's hard to test, I find. His situation doesn't come up a lot. Don't even start with that, Icy. God, the fact that some people think that, though, is so ridiculous. Cairo, you missed all the stuff I wanted your input on, by the way. Yeah, I think the B tier is the same. Yeah, I really wish Cairo was here when I was talking about like just the Lancer class and then just like that whole design philosophy, right? Like that, I really wanted that. Might like link you that part in the VOD because I really want your take on some of that. Yeah, to summarize, it's the fact that it's the fact that like Ku is so far ahead of all the other Lancers that even if you've got like Merlin and you want to focus on Buster and you don't have Scatty for quick, you're still better off using Ku than you are using Taiga, where it's fine if Ku is the best Lancer, but the other Lancers need to be closer, so there's some apples and oranges, and there's some variety, and there's some reasons to shake things up from time to time. And I think it's not just Ku, it's a lot of the low stars. I think a lot of the low stars, there's that one definitive low star that's just so much better, it doesn't matter if like, oh, but I've got Ozzy for the buff success chance, and I've got Castoria for more art stuff. Like, it doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. There's a few. The only times it matters is like for the stuff in here. Like some of these things it matters if what supports you have. The stuff up here it doesn't, and that's bad. And it's kind of unique to silvers. Like with golds there's more variety, I think. I think it's a real problem with silvers. And what I was saying was like Ku could solo Hercules before Ku ever got buffed. And before command codes, and before we had lots of 2K foe and all that stuff. Baldy can't solo it even when he has those things, right? And then they buffed Ku for some fucking reason, right? It's like that, those kind of gaps in value is just obnoxious. Like, I don't care if Ku is the best, I care that Ku is that much of the best. All right, let's continue moving up here and make some other adjustments. So Medusa is one that I definitely think I was a little off on. Again, I think my take on it was, like I said, they both have battery, they both have damage up, they're both AoE, and then Columbus has team support, and then he has hard survival. And those are, like I said, legitimate things that he has over Medusa, but I think I really undervalued Medusa's Paralyze or Petrify, and the thing is, Petrify actually gets around things that are stun immune, and there's been several bosses that are stun immune or have massive stun resistance. But it, like, Guadia's like that. Guadia has extra stun resistance, but he doesn't have Petrify resistance. Limbo is like that. And there are some bosses you can just stun one way or the other. And I've actually found more and more cases where it matters, and her peak damage is really good. So I actually put her a little bit ahead of him now. But they're still close, because Columbus's positives, I don't think Columbus is, I overrated. I just think I underrated Medusa, right? I don't think like Columbus needs to go down a tier or anything. Because again, he still has a battery, gets his NP quick, sells enough damage to clear most waves, can help in challenge quests, gives team support, and has hard survival so he doesn't just die, right? Can even help with crits and things like that. Those are all great positives. It's just Medusa's, you know, monster strength is no joke. The guaranteed stun that's also technically petrify, those are just great. And her slightly higher peak damage on the NP can matter and things like that. And then she's got crit down as well, and crit down is just awesome and things like that. Although Columbus has debuffs too, so they're very close. I'd rate them almost exactly the same. They really are kind of an apples and oranges, where if you have Scatty, then I really would say Medusa. If you've got Vench or Merlin, things like that, then I would say Columbus. I really would. I think for them, the tiebreaker really can be the supports that you have, because they actually are close enough for that kind of thing to matter. So I think I overrated Kid Gil. Even with his buff, I think I overrated Kid Gil. When I think of like how effective, like Medusa and Columbus make the cut on hard content way more than Kid Gil was. Like, fuck my videos. When do you ever see any of the low star people use Kid Gil? It's really rare. It's just not that useful. And in farming, yes, he has the damage, but he doesn't have battery or anything like that. So he relies on like Super Scope or having Waver and things like that. You're better off with a Rosh Spartacus. Like, it's just straight up, if you're wanting to do farming with low stars, you are so much better off with a Rosh and Spartacus. And then when it comes to challenge quests and stuff, he basically never makes the cut. Now, he is so close to being good, though. He's so close to being good, because he does have higher AoE damage than you expect out of a low star, and he does have team support, and he does have, like, the extra stars now on the side. Like, he's close to being really good. He's really close to... if they would give him one more buff, so, like, they either gave him a battery or survivability, either one, I think he'd be really good. I don't think he sucks, though. I'm not even sure he goes down a tier. I would say more like I think Medusa is better than him. That's where I'm really seeing why I think I overrated him. When I think about like how applicable Medusa is to even single target fights like Demeter, compared to like thinking about using Kid Gil against a single target fight, it's just they're not comparable. They're not comparable. Like, they're okay. Like, Kid Gil's okay. You know, he's usable. That's why I still A tier. There's no world where A tier is bad, but there's no way he's better than Medusa. And because look, how can anyone argue that he's better than Columbus? Look at their kits. How on earth would you argue that he's better than Columbus, right? Like, cause they both have the team support and that kind of thing, and Columbus goes much faster than he does, and then Columbus has survivability, and Charm is significantly less reliable. Not just stun, but petrify, because petrify gets around the stun resistance stuff and mental debuff resistance, where Charm doesn't get around either, right? So Charm is significantly worse. I might put him at B+. It's really close. It's either high B+ or low A. It's close, because I will say, I do think people sleep on his damage a little bit. It is better than you think, and his debuffs are nice. And he's got those extra stars now. If you happen to be working with Hans, they're both making stars. Like, I think A is still fair, because you still can fuck things up with him really well. Like, he's still solid. It's close. It's really close. He's right on the edge, right? He's kind of in between. Okay, so Clown Boy got buffed, but I don't think it changes him a lot. If anything, I think I actually overrated him just a bit before. But now he's been buffed, but it just doesn't... You still are going to use Clown Boy specifically for the buff block, and the 3 buff block is why it's got a real edge on Fuma sometimes. And that's great, but it's only that. You still really only use him for that specifically and almost nothing else. And yeah, sure, if he does a bit more damage while he's on the field, and so he's not wasting as much space, that's good. So he is better, but it's not like, oh, he's got an attack buff now, I'm going to bring him even if I don't need the buff block. Like, no, you're still only going to bring him if you need the buff block, and he does a little bit more while he's there. Right, that's all that really changed. Very minor change. The other DPS casters like Katsuku and Babbage got buffed way more than he did. I think B+ is still fair, though. I think he has... And here's why. Like, some people might be like, how on earth could you rate Clown Boy higher than Baldy? And I think Cairo's going to agree with me. Baldy's never actually practical. Baldy is never practical. He can be good enough, but he is never practical ever. Ever. I'm not exaggerating. I don't think he's ever practical. He can just be fancy if you try really hard. But Jekyll and Hyde can do fancy damage if you try really hard, right? Where Clown Boy is practical, and many times. There are many boss fights where he's good. He can block Pierce and Vulnerability in bosses like Lantoria. He can fuck up Lee in Lost Belt 3. There are just so many bosses that he can make much easier because he has buff block, and he can help kill some assassins while he's at it and things like that. So there are practical reasons to use Clown Boy. Not often, but there are practical reasons to use him. There are no practical reasons to use Baldy. There just aren't. He's just a showboat unit that's not even good at showboating. People just think he is. It's ridiculous. But didn't you read my message? Oh my god. Let's see. So Taiga, I still think B+ is right. She's above B because she's got some kick, she's got some damage, but the cooldowns are so long. The total value is way behind a lot of the other units. So I think B is fair. So Botika got buffed. She has the heal now, which I don't think makes or breaks her very much. She was already like, have some backup use with things, give the team attack up, defense up, crit up, art up, right? A lot of stuff there, but she's a bit slow. That's the whole problem with her, is she's just a bit slow, right? Her actual value on what she has is good. Yeah, true, it is targetable guts, but it just doesn't matter that much. Her placement will probably change a bit here, but not loads. And the reason is her cons are still such large cons that it's still hard to bring her often. Now, she's not terrible. Again, she gives art up to the whole team. She gives attack up to the whole team. She gives crit up to the whole team. She can give defense up to the whole team. And she has a heal now and a targetable guts. These are solid. These really are solid. The issue is she's just a little slow to get her NP if she's not working with Waver or you don't have K-Scope. She's kind of reliant on those things, so she can be kind of hard to activate. And if you have K-Scope, you might be like, I should probably give that to this other unit instead. Right, it's like it's not enough to justify giving it to her. However, it is pretty good straightforward value, and there are some boss fights like that do AoE attacks, high hit count, where she can activate her stuff a lot. And there's also some fights where you're not allowed to bring Mash, or you can't bring original Mash and things like that, and she can kind of fill in for that role. And if you have Romulus, she's not even a meme. She's like legit helpful support, but not everyone's gonna have that. I'm gonna put her at top of B+. I think that's fair. Like, I don't think she makes it into A. It's still kind of rare that it makes sense to bring her, but occasionally it's good to bring her. And if you just want to bring her, she can still get some straightforward, solid value, right? She's no Mozart, she's no Chin Gong, but she's solid. And there's occasionally going to be a boss fight. You're like, oh crap, I really need to targeted guts. And then she's a really good pick for that. And if you do have something like Lancelot or Sitting Master and Art DPS you're wanting to activate, but you don't have Castoria, you don't have a lot of stuff, and you want some budget art units to support them with, she's a legitimate option, right? I think Mozart's the first pick, but she is absolutely a legitimate option. Okay, Darius. Darius has been buffed. Very good buff for him because not only did he get more damage, but his teammates get more damage. And now he's got an upgraded NP and a damage up skill and hard survival and the heal as well. So he's got guts and a heal, and it's a large heal and debuff clear and NP gain, so he gets that NP faster. So he gives his teammates attack down, defense down, buster resist down. There's a lot going on here, and he's got a good stat spread. He is the universal low star berserker. Now, the weird thing about Darius is it's very easy for an account to get into a position. I'm not sure where I'm gonna put him exactly. He's gonna be at least be A. But it's very easy for an account to get into a position where they don't need him anymore because they might just happen to get a stronger gold berserker. There's a lot of gold berserkers that can do what he does and potentially better. There's a lot of ways to not need him. But if you happen to miss all of those, he is if you need that kind of straightforward berserker, he's pretty much the one. And even though he's AoE, he's so good that he can keep up when you need single target. Now, Mori and Lubu, if you only need single target and like survivability doesn't matter much and stuff, they're still better, right? They're still better. But they're terrible in AoE situations where Darius is still good there. And AoE has been more and more prevalent in challenge quests and main story fights. There's been more and more reasons why you want it. So I think Darius, if you're like a new account, new player, I think a very safe pick is to level Darius right off the bat because he's a berserker. You can use him against any class. You can use him against extra classes, right? He's just such a safe bet. He synergizes with a lot of basic craft essences. There's a lot of different ways to play him where you gas, or you focus on like protecting him with taunts, but he has guts for the NPs coming at you and things like that. I mean, it's good. He's fucking good. His exact placement, I'm probably gonna twink a bit, but he's at least A. Definitely at least A. Let's see, who else has been buffed? Casterku's been buffed. Really helps his farming, but this list is mostly aimed at challenge quests and that kind of stuff. He'll go up. And again, this is not the list that's going to be in the video. If I make a video, I'm going to talk about every individual unit. I'm going to get really nitty gritty, and some of the exact placements will change. But he'll definitely go up, but some of his competition got buffed too. You know, Babbage got buffed. I think Babbage's buff was probably bigger, I would say, because it's so straightforward and it can help other units with the Star Bomb. But it's close, it's close. I think he's like top of A, I feel like. I mean, you could... A+, it's close. I don't think it's wrong to put him in A+, because like he really does kill assassins good now, and he's really good for AoE now, and he's good for farming. I think low A+ is actually pretty reasonable. And if anything, I almost want to put him ahead of Ricky, just because Ricky's really good, but Ricky doesn't have hard survival and things. But Ricky does loop like a motherfucker actually, and he can shred Demeter and stuff. Yeah, I think Ricky I'd still put a bit ahead. Yeah, I'm okay with Caster Q and A+ actually. Like, it's close. It's close. Like, he's barely making that cut, but I do think that's about right. Proto-Q got buffed. Very good buff, still like directly behind Q almost in every way, but it's totally a solid buff. Makes him a lot more universal. He's one of the only Lancers that is in striking distance of Q. If you're like, I would just rather use Proto-Q, it's not too bad. I mean, Q is definitely better. Like, oh my god, it's still very noticeable that Q is better. But Proto-Q is quite good. Does he make A+ though? It's either top A or, it's close. I'm thinking about like him versus Proto-Q. It's pretty similar. I'd actually put him a little, I think he barely makes the cut, but I kind of lean towards Caster Q over Proto-Q, I feel like. Because he's still a bit wonky. He still doesn't have like, you know, as much reliability as regular Q has. He doesn't always have the answers. You know, the beast thing is very niche. Yeah, the nice thing about him getting quick up is he basically like got double buffed. His MP got such a kick in the pants because it got upgraded so it does more damage and it gets quick up. But the quick up was only one turn, and there's plenty of drawbacks, and he still doesn't have guts and that kind of stuff. But he's good. I mean, he's good. He does have armor ignore, and actually now that I think about that, he definitely deserves A+, because there's not a lot of armor ignore for low stars. And he's just a good, even at neutral, if you have to fight something at neutral and you need armor ignore, good option, like really good option. So, you know, I think A+ is totally fair for him. I think that is right, and maybe even higher than that. When I look at this, I kind of want to lower Caesar a little bit just because his NP gain is so slow. His damage is incredible, he's got nice support, but I do think it's probably more like that. I think that is more reasonable. Now, I'm skipping over some units real quick, but I want to talk about the big boys. And that's David and Q. And I've always been in the camp that David is better than Q overall. But since I made the video, they buffed Q. But then they buffed David as well. And Cairo's always been in the camp that Q is better than David. And I've generally fought against him on that. But over time, Cairo has kind of convinced me. And I've kind of just seen it through like my own play of the game and everything. It's like one of the big things that convinced me and started to make me look into more stuff was when I realized that Q was one of the best options for Assassin Lee if you're just doing 1 to 3 stars, right? That is ridiculous, right? There's no world where like 100 Face would have been on par with even the AoE casters, right? Or yeah, the passives affect Q more than David. Absolutely, the new passives made Q even better. Like absolutely, that is really worth bringing up because there are a lot of nasty Berserker bosses these days, like Morgan and Fluffy, and there's going to be more. And Q now gets a special passive against them, so he's even extra effective against them. That is just ridiculous. Q is the best option against archers for low stars. There's no question about that. It's not even close. Q is the best low star option to kill archers, and I actually think he's the best low star option for Berserkers now, because he can live so long against them because of his kit, and he has anti-berserker bonus, and he's got so much raw value anyway. He is the best option against Berserkers. And then when you have to fight at neutral because of gimmicks, or you're a new account and you don't have enough counter classes, so you got to fill in with your best neutral and stuff, he's always the best low star option like that. So that's too applicable too often. That's too much stuff, right? He's got anti-insta-death with guts. He has anti-debuff with debuff clear. He's got way too much survivability, way too much damage. He can just shut down so many gimmicks. He's got sure hit. Like, he is broken. And David is godly, and I will get into that. And David got buffed too, but I do think, like, Q got buffed more. Q's buff mattered more, and his passives mattered more. So I think Q is ahead of David now. And I don't say that lightly, because I've always been in the camp that David is ahead. And David is so godly, because all the positives I said in the video are still true, and then now David also does damage. right? That's obviously busted. David can be your damage dealer now. You don't even need to level. You used to have to level like David for support stuff and team stuff, and then also level maybe Robin or something else, right, for your nuking. You don't have to do that anymore. You can just level David now, and he does everything for you. And so he is like the ultimate archer with an amazing side dish. And the side dish is incredible. I mean, and this is why it's close. I don't think Ku is blowing David out of the water. It's close because David, and this is undeniable, David is the only 3-star that you will bring when he is being counterclassed. You can fight a fucking Lancer boss and you still bring David. That is, no one else would you do that with, right? That is so nonsense that he's that good that you will do that. Because being able to search, there are so many bosses where you need an I need to save my entire team button. He's the only one. If you don't have Merlin, right, you're a new player and all that, he is the only free-to-play unit that can just save your entire team. And if you max out his skill, the cooldown is not that bad, and he also does good damage, also gives you attack up. If he needs to live to get to that turn to save the team, he's got his first skill to help him with that. That is just, he is a universal support that also is a proper archer DPS. That is clearly worthy of being one of the best, and I think definitely puts him ahead of Ushi and 100 Face. I almost want to do this, to be honest, right? I kind of think I should, because there really is a difference, like a noticeable difference between Ku and David and then like the other big boys. It is a noticeable difference. So I think I will do that for now. I think that is correct. As good as they are, and like seriously, S tier is no slouch. I gotta, people always see like, they see the top is like, and then they see like this is like getting bad. No, A is like, wow, this really does what this class needs to do, and they do their job very well. They're A, right? Grade A, right? And then A plus is like even better, and then S is just broken, right? It's just broken, right? Like you know, I always say B is not for bad. It's just for like, you know, it's like, yeah, they work, but there's not a lot of reason to use them, and other things are generally better. B plus is kind of the same thing, but sometimes there is a real meta reason to use them. Not often. You don't use a Clown Boy often, but when you need him, there's almost no unit that can replace him, and that can be true for a lot of you know, units that I'll put kind of in that range. When I say that, though, I kind of feel like William Tell needs to go down. No offense to William Tell, but I really do think he's just not that good. Well, I mean, if they do spam evade, I'll keep him in B plus because of that, because he does have solid, legit value as an archer. He does. He really does. He does, and then he's got anti-debuff and he counters evade like a champ. The real issue is this is just better, right? He also counters evade, not as well, but generally good enough, and he has a hard survival and way more universal value. He doesn't need them to have evade, right? And because of command codes and everything, Robin is ahead, and it's very rare that you'd want to use Tell. But he still has straightforward value. He can still actually loot pretty easily, has some okay normal card damage. The anti-debuff also really helps him keep him in it. So no, I think William Tell stays at B+, honestly. So, I don't know where to put Robin these days. He's still great. I mean, he's still great, and I've shown that in some videos and stuff. I mean, he still loops, does big damage, has hard survival, has some utility, makes stars. Like, he's still great. I mean, he's still great. He still has some of the best nuking you can get out of a low star. It's hard to say, though, how he compares to Ushi and 100 Face. Ushi has more upfront value than he does. She does, absolutely. But he has more, he scales better. He really does. If you're working with strong supports and things like that, he does scale better than she does. And he star bombs as well. His star bomb's harder to use than hers is. Hers is a lot freer because his is tied to an evade. But, so it's close. He's either low S or high A+. The thing is, he's still like the best general archer because he doesn't need to be fighting a male or a female or a giant. He just works on everything, right? Unless they're debuff immune like entirely, but that's very rare. They're normally mental debuff immune. But the reason why I still kind of put him towards S is because how many low stars actually do, like, listen to this. He has hard survival on a decent cooldown. He has star bomb. He has fast NP regeneration. He can loop. He has like the highest peak damage you can really get from low stars when you're like buff stacking and things like that. He helps the team a bit with the attack down and all that kind of stuff. Like, that is so much value, and that's really on par with what you see out of Ushi and Hunterface. What puts Ushi ahead, though, is the team attack up, the team NP gain, you know, those kinds of things. Hunterface has even better loopability and better survival, and then the crit down. What really puts Hunterface in there is that massive crit down. So A plus, I'd say top of A plus is fair. I mean, he is the go-to archer for straight nuking, but I do think he's a little bit behind some of the other ones. So that's about right. It feels, it's rough. Like, he really is one of those in-betweens, right? It's like, he is a bit behind them, but I do feel like he's a bit more universal than a lot of the stuff you see in A plus here. But that's about right. I think A plus is about right, because Bedivir's a monster now, and actually that's what, so Bedivir's been buffed, so we gotta talk about this. You know, Bedivir's always been really good, pretty much go-to budget saber, gets his NP very quick, incredibly high damage. Also, his damage doesn't, he has really good damage without needing to scale with other buffs and stuff. He just has good damage out of the box. And now his NP up lasts multiple turns, so if you need to cast it early, you can. Or you can affect other units if the NP the turn after, or if he loops with the supports and stuff. And then he also gives NP gain to the whole team, which is great. It really is great, because Bedivir's one problem was his gain rate was a little but he had the battery. But now he has gain rate and the battery. And his team's mates get it too. And if you want to cast the battery before you NP, or I'm sorry, the gain before the NP buff lingers. That's I mean, Bedivir's amazing. The only thing that stops me from just easy S tier is he doesn't have great survivability. He's got the defense up, and it's also for his teammates, which works great when you have Mash, and they both can do defense up, and he can fill in the gaps and stuff. Very useful. Has some anti-debuff as well, also very useful. Some of the highest just out-of-the-box damage you're going to get. But the absolute lack of survival for a lot of, like, again, free-to-play perspective. A lot of free-to-plays, you know, when your DPS doesn't have hard survival, you can get crushed, right? It can be a real problem. It's really nice when you have your survivability from your supports, your Mr. Code, and your DPS has hard survival. That makes life a lot easier. It really does. But Bedivere, if you have to go at neutral, one of the better picks, like, absolutely. If you need quick NP damage, like, right, go, one of the best picks, if not the best one, because he's one of the easiest low stars to turn 1 NP with, especially with the new passives. You can just do it like it's nothing nowadays. And the damage is so high. His damage is much higher than Billy's, and he can get his NP almost as easily. And that's valuable. That's very valuable. There are a lot. I've seen challenge quest after challenge quest where what you end up needing more than survivability is gas, and Bedivere almost always supplies that. So I kind of want to put him in S tier because of that. That buff of his was not a joke, man. It made his damage a bit better, it made his gain better, it made his teammates better. That's strong, and I think the game really has incentivized burst lately, so I think S is fair. When I really sit down, though, and go to make this a video, I'm going to test the hell out of that, right? He might go down to A+, because there's a lot of, and I'm going to keep an eye on him just moving forward, like with challenge quests and everything. Easily I could be persuaded to change this, but he's definitely like Robin, where he's kind of in between. But I think like he's a bit more universal than Robin now, because if it is at neutral, I would rather take Bedivere than Robin normally, just because of the quick battery and the team support and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I know Billy got kind of hurt by the new passives. It didn't really help him, but it helped a lot of other units, because Billy doesn't change. It's like, okay, I can either go to 100% battery or 120%. Like, who cares? The only way the passives help Billy is if you don't give him starting NP, right? Or you're not using his second skill on turn 1. And that happens where you want to get his NP the normal way, because like the beginning part doesn't matter, you don't need the burst, or you're stalling or whatever. And then so you get his NP the normal way, because if he has the passive, then he gets his normal NP pretty quick. And then you can NP and then use the second skill and NP again. Right? So it helped him. It just didn't help him as much as Bedivere, because now Bedivere gets to do what Billy did. Right? He gets to just show up from the back row, click button, instantly NP. That's just disgusting, right? It is harder, though, for Bedivere to get his passive. And that's fair to talk about, because free-to-play perspective, you know, in the long run, you're going to get Billy's passives. It might take you a long time to get Bedivere's passives. I would just say this: if Bedivere has his passives, especially his battery one, I think he's S tier. I really do. I think Bedivere basically getting to play like Billy does is just too good. That makes better. But if you don't have the passive, I think he's A+. I really think that's fair to say. I really do, because and being able to have a 50% starting NP, not need any team support, any Mystic Code support, being able to show up or just be on the front row turn 1 and just go and NP and do huge damage, that's incredibly valuable. And so the fact that Bedivere can do that now with the passive, that I think that is S. I mean, it absolutely is S. But if he doesn't have it, I think it's A+. So I'll put him A+ for now, I guess. But yeah, that's just like a weird caveat I would do in the videos. Like, depending on what you have, we change it. Hey, Ari. And he's one of the few units that's like that. And the thing is, if Bedivere was a more regular unit, I would just put him in S then, right? Because I'll just say, oh, you'll get his coins eventually. But you're not necessarily going to get Bedivere's coins eventually, so I think it's more fair to put it in A+. But yeah, Bedivere, the fact that Bedivere can do that really hurts Billy. It really does, because like Billy was such a good option for low stars. He was your one way to just, no matter what the circumstance, be able to NP immediately, be it on turn 1 or from coming in from the back row. But Bedivere's better, you know, he's better than Billy. He just is, right? He does a lot more damage, he has team support, and he can do that too now. So unless you're specifically fighting a Saber, it hurts. So can we get a buff for Billy? Like, really, can we get him like an attack up or a quick up or something on his second skill? That would really help him. I think he'll still be behind some of these big boys that we see up here, right? He's not going to be like Ushi all of a sudden because he gets an attack up or something. But it'd be nice if he could be up a bit. All right, who else has been buffed? And is there any other ones that I feel like I maybe overestimated or underestimated? I do think I overestimated Diarmid a little bit, but not much. People keep saying I super overestimated him, but they never really make a good argument for it. And everything I said in that video, I think still stands. And I've tested Diarmid a lot still, and he still works. If you need him to kill Archer, he's still doing real good, right? He still has hard survival, upgraded NP, good stat line, and some nice niches. Buff removal is good. Like, he's still good. He's obviously way behind Ku, and he's definitely behind Proto Ku now. Like, I mean, it's close. Like, I mean, B+ or A. Like, some people say, like, yeah, most people would say, I see what you're saying, that he's better than people think, but, you know, he's still so far behind. But I don't know. It's still really universal. He has universal killing power, universal survival, and then debuff clear is good. I will say this, though, just like with Medea, how now there's so many better ways to get debuff removal, it's a lot less good on him. And that actually, when I think about it, I think it's right to put him in B+. Because if you're like, man, I need buff removal, and they're an Archer, then okay. But if they're not an Archer, I'm just going to bring Alex, or, you know, even Phantom, for God's sakes. And yes, he does have straightforward damage, survivability. He kill Archer real good, and so I think he's better than Serenity, because overall, the straightforward survivability is better than her utility. I really do think that. So, top of B+, but yeah, I think A maybe a little too much now, especially with debuff clear, or buff clear, excuse me, getting more prevalent. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And so I already ranted about Medea before we even started this, and how Medea, even though when other units get buffed, it doesn't normally drop your rating, because the only reason Medea was that high was because she had buff removal. And now you only care about that if they're an assassin specifically, and even then you might not, because you might have someone else that's taking care of the boss. Like, okay, this guy can kill the assassin boss, and they can get buffed by Alex, and so I'll just let him remove the debuffs, and then I don't care if he dies, so then you don't bring Medea even then. Right, so I think Medea has gone down a lot. I think Medea's in really bad. There's like, it's very hard to justify any reason to bring her other than, okay, I need some extra help against an assassin, and hey, buff removal's good, and maybe the debuff clear is good. And that happened in 5.5, right? We had some fights that you wanted buff removal and debuff clear, and they were an assassin. So I think she still makes B+. But if anything, I think Clown Boy is more useful now these days. Clown Boy is definitely more useful for straightforward, just hit it in the face. And then I think his utility is so good and more unique that it's more valuable than what she offers. So I think Clown Boy is better than Medea now. I can't even believe that. That's crazy. I never would have thought that. She is cool. I don't want to say that. Medea is actually one of my favorite like female characters in the game. Like she's awesome. She's a, you know, questionable morality, but really interesting character. And I've always really liked her a lot. But yeah, she could use some help. I haven't even gotten to Fuma yet. Because basically, I didn't even make the tier list. I made my original tier list, and I'm adjusting it, because I'm kind of going through it. I'm like, okay, who's been buffed? You know, have I changed my mind on any of these? So we haven't quite gotten to Fuma yet. Okay, so another one I think I overestimated is Antonio. And he's good, and like there are budget setups that allow him to do AoE stuff that you can't really do with any other budget units. but you don't need that very often, and especially because of Darius, it's just he just has a lot of problems. Like, he dies so fast. He doesn't counterclass very often, and if you're at neutral, he's just not strong enough. Like, he's just not strong enough. And if you're fighting a ruler, he's AoE. He's got the crit thing now, and that helps, because that's why they gave him the crit thing. It's okay, if you need him to kill a ruler, he can kill him with the crits. But really, a lot of the time, I would rather protect a berserker like Darius or Mori than I would want to use Antonio. Like, I have to stress this. When I used Antonio for Zeus, he was objectively worse than a 70 coup. A 70 coup, right? And I've seen that happen to Antonio a lot. And I remember, do you remember the 4.5 challenge quest? Very hard challenge quest. Antonio's not that good there, even though the main problem is a ruler, right? He's just not that good there. Now, he did get buffed though, so if he hadn't gotten buffed, I would absolutely drop him. Like, a lot. But because he's been buffed, and buff was good. Buff was good. Kind of awkward though, because now he's like AoE single target, but not good enough at either, right? It's a little weird, and because he's neutral, I think he's still, I don't know. Let me think. It's either low A or high B plus. I'm even with his buff, it's tough. I need to test him more since he got buffed. So this is one that, you know, when I made the video, this could very much change. But I'm thinking low A. But I could see this changing in either direction when I actually sit down and really break it down. But right now he's barely making A. Still aren't enough ruler enemies to justify him. That is a good point, that you don't even fight rulers enough. And then when you do fight rulers, you might not, because sometimes he'll be good against a ruler. Sometimes when you fight a nasty ruler challenge quest, he's going to be your best budget pick. That will happen, absolutely. But not always. And you don't even fight rulers that often. And then when you do neutral stuff, okay, no, yeah, B plus. That's very reasonable. Yeah, around deer. Yeah, I'd put him at a top though right now. That feels about right. I don't know. We'll see. That's something that I'll have to mess with. But I tested him a good bit against that 4.5 stage, and I was not he kind of worked, but I wasn't really happy with like what you could. You needed a lot of babysitting from the team, right? And you know, that's kind of rough. Yeah, I wish he was better too. Okay. Lu Bu has not changed. I think Mori is definitely better than Lu Bu. Lu Bu is only better than Mori if you just absolutely cannot protect the Berserker, or the only thing you care about is NP damage. And that happens sometimes. That really does. If you're like enabling them with like Vinch spam and stuff like that, and you're just NP, he's gonna be better. Or if like you just need that one NP to break that one health bar, he is better. But Mori's still good at that, and then he's so much better at the normal card stuff. It's just not even close. And there are some pretty disgusting things you can do with Mori. Mori is not, how do I put this? He's not god tier or anything, right? There are some real flaws. He needs a specific kind of content to shine, but that content happens, and it happens in challenge quests, and it happens in main story fights, and he is a very good option. And it's not even him versus Lu Bu, it's him versus Darius. That's the question, because Darius is pretty universal, but Mori is more straight nuking. It really is, and straight nuking I think is still more favored on budget berserkers than AoE stuff, right? So it's close. It really is close. I think I give it to Mori though, just because Mori and I know this for a fact because I've tried. There are some nasty boss fights where you can make Mori work and he'll save your ass, and there is no world where Darius could do that. And although Darius can do AoE things and that's nice, there are other ways to deal with those things normally. And Mori is more unique and helpful, and it covers a base that a lot of players really need covered. Let's see, where do I put Mori exactly? Where do I put Billy exactly? I gotta say, because of the Bedivere stuff, I kind of want to put Mori ahead of Billy, but you might not have Bedivere coins. It's close. I feel like a lot of these ones here, it's almost irrelevant what order they're in, except for Uriel. I tell you, as time goes on, I feel like Uriel is becoming less and less relevant. She's still good. There's no world where she's bad. There are fights at neutral where the enemy is male and she can still wreck them, or they're a berserker and she can wreck them. Even if she's not getting the charm, it's huge damage. But and this is undeniable. She is the worst archer in the game if you're fighting a giant boar, you know, a dragon, a female, genderless, you know, whatever. She is awful, right? She is worse than every other archer in the game in those circumstances, right? So there's a lot of content where she is dog shit, and then when they are male, and things like that, she's not necessarily the best. She can be, she absolutely can be, but she's still not always. So she is such a weird unit to rate because of that, where she can be devastatingly, like hilariously overpowered, but then most of the time she's either useless or nothing special, right? And so it's very awkward. The reason I don't feel like B plus is right, because when she is in her niche, she is still more useful than almost everything else that's in B plus, right? So I still think A is correct, because she is just so good in her niche. Obviously, she is so bad out of it, but she is better in her niche than everything else that's in B plus, right? By a noticeable amount. So I think lowering her in A is reasonable, but I think she's still A. I think it's still right. Like Billy is still even more universal, I think, than she is. But when she's good, she's really good. She's weird. She's one of the hardest 3 stars to rate, in my opinion. Like, because there's really no other 3-star like that. Like that, or even 1 to 3 star. Like that. It's so extreme. Okay, so a VC Braun. Did he have his NP buff back when I rated that? I don't even know. Well, regardless, when I think about what he can get done now, the amount of damage he can do, he benefited from the passives a lot. Like, a lot. Because if you have his passive, and he's an FP summon, so you're getting it eventually. When you have his passive, he can have Black Grail, 500-year Obsession, which can be great for challenge quests. He can have Battle of Kimlan, literally whatever you think is going to help the team, he can have it. Click his second skill and NP turn 1 anyway. Or he can go damagey. You can do you know, Black Grail, turn 1 NP with his damage up, nuke a lot, you know, a lot of options. He can do Poster Girl, like he's always been good with Poster Girl, but now he can do that and NP and with the attack up. So, and then Avisa Braun also just does a lot of damage now because he's got an upgraded NP, a Buster up, and an NP up before the NP damage. Really good. VC Braun's in good shape these days. It really is the passive. I think that new passive with his second skill, it's just, that's what he needed to be more. He doesn't have to have Poster Girl to be good, right? He can, it's really easy to get good value out of him now, like all of the time, because it's just straightforward damage. You can always enable like 500-year Obsession, things like that, and you can still NP no matter what. You don't have to have like, oh, if I want to get his NP, I gotta get lucky here, and I gotta get his art card, or I got, you know, or if I gotta bring starting NP, and then I lose the 500-year Obsession that I want, right? You don't have to deal with that anymore. He can just do what you want. Very flexible now. His third skill can be a game changer. It can be hard to enable without Poster Girl, but it just depends on context. So I think he's A+ these days. I think he can keep up with Caster Coup and Babbage in value. I think he's behind them because they're very easy to get value out of. You know, they're not picky, right? They don't need the right context to arise. They can just be slapped on a team and work. And they have context where they do even better. And VC Braun still requires some fancy footwork, and there's some areas where he can get shut down and not actually be that good and things like that. But no, I think he is A+ now. I think he's a strong boy. Like, I think he's great. Let's see. So, Fuma's tough. So the weird thing about Fuma is his utility is God tier, but there are a lot of times you don't need it. When you do need it, it's amazing. He is universal support. Like, for example, I remember when I was doing the Liz Wanted quest, and I was messing around with some different budget setups, and I had it where I was using Shakespeare at the end to like burst through at the end to have the extra battery, the extra damage, and that kind of thing. But then I realized Fuma, in practicality, can give you extra NP gain because the MVP unit will live longer because you can give them evade. And if they live longer, they have more chances to be hit in the face to get NP, to get their own cards to get NP, and then Fuma also gives you the damage because it gives you defense down. They don't need to be a buster unit, they can be any unit. And then he also gives you attack down, crit down, buff block, you know, just, there's so many things here, right? And that actually made the Liz challenge quest so much easier. Fuma made the Liz challenge quest so much easier, like just cakewalk with him. He good, right? He is one of the like more useful utility units for low stars. I think it's worth noting no other 1 to 3 star can do what Fuma can. That's true. It really, I think A plus, like Ari said, is about right. It's close though. Like the only reason it's hard is because when you do need just brute force stuff, you're not gonna bring Fuma. Let me get where I'm now. Obviously, David is S tier, right? So we get it, but David has like that kind of team support utility stuff, and then also is just a completely serviceable murder it button, and then has a niche against Giant for ultra murder it button. He's not a murder it button in any way, right? Outside of like farming, for AoE stuff, he is there for utility, right? You don't even care what his class is because you're not using him for that at all. But he also makes stars regardless, and that's good. So I mean, between the stars, the utility, the uniqueness, also the just ass, like the amount of times he's saved my ass in a budget scenario, it's either top A or A plus. I don't know. That's a hard one. This is another one that I would have to sit down and really. I mean, I've used him a lot. It's weird that it's hard for me to make up my mind here because he's one of my most used low stars. Okay, now that I'm thinking through it, like through all the challenge quests and stuff, he deserves to be A plus just off of how often he does make the cut and other people don't, right? That's what I always talk about. A lot of these units, people like to act like they're good, and yet I don't use them for 1 to 3 star stuff. The Japanese low star guy doesn't use them. Ace of Hearts, nobody fucking uses them, right? Where Fuma absolutely makes the cut on all kinds of teams and all kinds of scenarios. And when you make the cut that much and you're doing something that no one else does, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Still, I can't really justify like putting him ahead of some of these other things because like when you need to kill an assassin, right? Babbage bails you out against that so much, right? Like, and he also can enable crits with the stars for other units and all that kind of stuff. He's very universal, right? Babbage, ever since his buff, has made the cut basically every time I need to kill an assassin. Right, like every fucking time, right? So I still think that's better. And like how good Ricky is against Demeter or any caster boss, I still think they're higher. But yeah, I think A plus is fair. When he's useful often enough that I think it's fair. Fuma saved me in the Achilles challenge quest. That does not surprise me. That I can definitely see that challenge quest, him being good there, because targetable evade is very rare, it's very powerful, and if he's the important unit for one reason or another, he can always use it on himself like anyone else, right? So variety like that is good, right? It's like Mash can give invulnerability to herself when she taunts, or she can give it to someone else. Those options are powerful. So now A plus is fair. A plus is fair. I already like this list though a lot better than the prior one, not just because of the changes with buffs, but just some of the units I'm happier with, like how I've. Like with Medusa and Columbus, I'm happier with that. I think I've used them both enough now to have a better opinion on that. Not that they changed dramatically, and I really stand by this. There was nothing in the old video, even if I was wrong on something, there's no world where I was wrong on something by like, oh, I listed them as A plus and they should actually be B, right? Nothing like that. The only one that really got, hit by the changing game was Medea and Diarmid. I think the way the game has changed has shredded them. Like, imagine, like, Medea's positive being she can NP loop in today's meta, right? It's just like, it doesn't mean anything, and then her damage is so much lower than everybody's, and then her utility's been replaced that, it sucks. Like, it's unfortunate. But what are you talking about, Cairo? I feel like I missed something. Okay, so let's see. What are some other ones? So Rice Man is one worth talking about. So some people, like Cairo, I think thinks Kid Gill is better than Rice Man. I think Rice Man's better than Kid Gill. And here's the thing. Kid Gill, I think, is easier to work into a team if you want to. Rice Man can actually save you and be helpful in fights where you really need the help. I feel like most of the time where Kid Gill can do well, they're not fights that you need help on, right? Where Rice Man can help with that. However, his damage is definitely behind, but he does have a lot more survivability, and he even helps the team on that front a little bit. And he has a niche, and the niche he actually becomes very powerful in. And the niche comes up more often than you would think. You were talking about how you like the new list and what your old one, you said you weren't really off on the placements. which is good because it means you know what you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, yeah, generally. It's like, that's what I was talking with Ace of Hearts. Me and Ace of Hearts disagree on a few things, but it's never by a massive amount. It's kind of like, oh, maybe a little bit higher here, maybe a little bit lower there. You know, we're never like, oh my god, you're just completely wrong. Like, we're generally on the same page. And because Ace of Hearts knows what the fuck he's talking about. Because you know, he disagrees with me on some stuff, but he has very good points, and you know, he knows what he's talking about. Like, he's very good at this stuff, so... but yeah, Rice Man versus Kid Gill is tough. I really lean towards the Rice Man. If there are just times like, okay, I need an AoE unit, and you know, I need them to not, I don't need them to be, they need to not have to be babysat, right? And then because of his niche, I lean more towards him, but it is close, especially with Kid Gill being able to make the stars and how that can work with Hans. And now between the two of them, they're making so many stars, and Hans is such a common low star unit for new players and free to play and unlucky bastards and all that. Right, he's good, so they're close. I think they're really close. I do think Rice Man is behind Medusa and Columbus, definitely. If he was ahead of them in my video, I'm actually surprised by that. I guess it's just because he does have a lot of survivability, and the niche is nice, but they're just really easy to get value out of. Like, really easy to get value out of. Who is Ace of Hearts? He makes YouTube videos, he does... budget stuff, and he looks at budget stuff from a very practical standpoint, and he gets hate for this sometimes, but I think this is stupid. Like, people are like, oh, he had to use a coup alter, but like, what he will do a lot of the times is do what makes sense to beat the goddamn boss, right? Because any player can summon a friend's coup alter, right? And he always makes teams like that. He doesn't make teams where it's like, oh, you need coup alter and you need to summon a friend's Merlin. He doesn't do that, right? He oftentimes will just, you know, use the support system as it is supposed to be used, and then use free-to-play units that anyone can have to work with it. And he makes very, very practical videos because of that. I actually think he has got incredibly useful videos in that area. And, you know, none of the FGO, you know, very much me included, none of us are perfect. We all have, like, you know, blind spots where, like, we're not as good at making teams in this style of content or with these units and whatnot. You know, we all have our pros and cons, but I think he's great. I think he makes great stuff, and I wish he got more views. It kind of sucks that he doesn't. I think the reason he doesn't is because he got into it a little late to the party, right? So things were already established and that kind of thing. That really hurt him. But yeah, he makes really good stuff. I think his name is Ace of Hearts, because I think Ace of Hearts was taken. So if you look up FGO Ace of Hearts, you can find him that way. Okay, who else? Okay, Fergus. A lot of people disagree with Fergus, but I actually completely stand by this. If anything, he should be higher. I think people really miss out. Thank you, Ari. I think people really miss out on how good Fergus is. And a lot of times, Bedivere just gets the job done. So you don't need him, right? But Fergus just lives forever. And I'm telling you, I am rarely surprised in FGO when a unit can solo something, or last man stand carry, or whatever. I normally can see it coming. I'm like, yeah, I can see that unit doing it, right? Oh, so rarely am I like, what? He can do that? And Fergus has done that to me multiple times, where Fergus just solos something that is like absurd. I'm like, wait, how did the fuck? And it's because he just has so much survivability, and then some fights really reward medium damage, right? And you don't need to NP often, you don't need to do a million damage. You just need to be able to throw out consistent medium damage to get through like lower end health bars. And he's amazing at that, because BBB, attack up, defense down, you know, and then just double defense up, evade. It's just good. I mean, he has soloed some bizarre things that like no one else can solo, right? It just happens, right? Like, now, sure, he's kind of like some other solo units out there where they can solo some things that no one else can solo, but then their total solo track record has some massive holes in it, and they are miserably bad at soloing other things, right? It's not like Fergus is the best solo unit, but you know, he can truly do some strange stuff, and he can last man stand and be very helpful. Like, he's a much better last man stand unit than I think a lot of people realize, and he's like he's just a nice universal saber option. The only reason, you know, he's not higher is if you do need really, really, really high damage, he can't really do that. If you need to get your NP really quickly, he's reliant on K-scope and supports and things like that. You know, he's not the most flexible unit. You know, he's not perfect. He's not without flaws. There are plenty of flaws there. You know, if normal card damage is not the way to go, then he's pretty terrible, right? You either need a tank or normal card damage. That's what he excels at, but he's so good at it that he's good. Like, he is good. It is true people overrate NP spam, especially in a budget scenario, because generally new players, free players, they can't have Castoria. Even if they have one Castoria from the friends list, that's not enough to NP spam. You're gonna have boss fights like Demeter, Zeus, Fluffy, where you can't summon a support. A lot of the player base, and I mean a lot of the player base, cannot NP spam consistently in most contexts. Maybe against that one class they can do it. Maybe when, you know, they've got like, oh, this is the one class I got the right DPS for and I can do it. But most people are not NP spamming, especially against hard content, which is what this list is aimed at. This is not a farming tier list. And so yeah, Fergus, you know, even though he's not NP spamming, he can still get a lot of raw value out there. But the thing is, Bedivere can get that NP like it's nothing and do so much damage in one place, just instantly break that health bar, that it would take Fergus a long time to catch up to that, right? Again, Fergus good. I mean, for God's sakes, he can solo, if Grailed, he can solo the Maze Challenge quest. I can't, like, that's ridiculous that he can solo that. But, yeah, he good. Fergus is good. I think A is totally fair. I think A is totally fair. You know, if I actually made the video, his exact placement would probably change. I think a lot of A tier stuff would change. I'm really unsure about where to put Billy these days. Again, because of the coin system, he kind of fell behind a bit in the coin system compared to a lot of people. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this though. Poor Hyde. Oh yeah, I never decided on Hohenheim. So I do think he was a bit overrated, and I guess I haven't found him keeping up very well in, like, from Lost Belt 5 and on. For both challenge quests and main story fights, I haven't found him that good anymore. Like, it's easier to use Hans and things like that. Like, he's still good. He has targetable guts if you, okay, this is where Hohenheim I think is really useful. If you have your own art DPS that's really good and it's a 4 or a 5 star, then he's really good. If you don't have that yet and you're just mostly budget stuff, not really worth it, right? But let's say there's many 4 and 5 stars, like Sitting Master, the Twins, all kinds of nonsense you could have, that he's a great budget way to help him out. It's like, oh, okay, they're a long-term art DPS, and then the guts you can throw it in there and stuff. So I think he should still be high. I do think he should be high, but I think I overrated him a bit. I really do, because he needs some specific things to come into play to really be useful. So I'm thinking like low A, like, no, that's somewhere in there. He might go down or up a little bit. I would suspect down. But I'll still put him in A for now, because it's still a lot. It's still a lot of NP gain. It's still art up. It's still targetable guts, and he gets a free, little joke damage, which can be good. There's challenge quests where the first wave, the enemies have like, 3 enemies. They all have health bars, but it's all like 10k, 20k. So you just need to hit it with something, right? And if he's going to be buffing your art DPS anyway, you might as well just have him break it for free, get attack down on the enemies, and then because 50% NP gain for 3 turns, that is not a joke, right? That's a very useful ability. So I think A is still right. Cairo thinks B+, and that's, maybe. It's around there. I think high B+ or low A is about right. That's one that I'd have to do, a lot more science on if I wanted to really change it. I like A. I do think B+ is too low. When I look at the other stuff in B+, I'm like, that doesn't feel like Hohenheim, right? It just doesn't. Actually, I think Clown Boy should be higher. I really do. Clown Boy's utility is so busted. Like, it's just busted, right? Like there are so many boss fights that he just, and Kairo's even saying that right now. I think Nephi either goes A or top B+, because his utility is more useful than how often you do want to use Antonio. Like, absolutely. And then he has more straightforward assassin killing now. Like, sure, you're not going to bring him for that, but if he's going to hang out, at least he gets some of that done. Because Fuma's buff block is great, but sometimes it's not enough to be consistent, because you have to throw it out in case the boss does the thing, but then maybe they throw out another thing before it, and then you don't grab it, and then you're fucked. You don't really have that problem with Clown Boy. He generally is going to get the thing you want him to block, and he might even get it twice, for God's sakes. I think A is actually fair for Clown Boy. I'm shocked by that, but with I think he's ahead of them, definitely, because he really is more useful than they are more often. Absolutely. So that's about right. Okay, yeah, that's pretty reasonable. The ones I'm really iffy on right now is Romulus. Like, I'm very iffy on Romulus. I think he might go up just because He's got a large attack up, a lot of soft survival, targetable guts. He just needs a fucking upgraded NP, man. Like, that would help him a lot. I don't know. I'm not gonna rate Romulus right now, but when I go to make a video, I can guarantee you Romulus is changing. Right? I can guarantee you Romulus is changing. Everything else though, I think is about where I like it. I think overall, like, if I put this out as a list, I'd be happy with it. I wouldn't put this out as a list though. I would want to twink it more and test more and think about it more. But I wouldn't be ashamed of this list if I put it out, right? I think this is, it's reasonable. And that being said, I really stand by this, okay? Look at Baldy and then look at Hyde. Look how many tiers they are apart. And I think that is correct. And that is just wrong, right? Like, why is he that bad? Like, he is such an unusable, you know, dead weight on the team in almost every context that has ever existed. It sucks, right? It literally sucks. And if this was a tier list based on how much I like him, you know, he's gonna be like up here, right? I'm such a fan of Jekyll and Hyde, and he has some of the worst gameplay in the entirety of FGO. I actually think he might be the worst unit in FGO. Let me scroll down here and look at our bronzes. What is the other competition for being even worse than him? And I can't think of anything, right? Because even though Ben K is bad, the taunt alone is better, right? The taunt alone is better. Angra's way better. Jesus Christ, Angra is so much. Angra is not, okay, here's the thing at Angra. Normally a Berserker's gonna do a better job, that kind of stuff, but Angra's normal card damage is pretty good these days, and he has hard survival, and he has straightforward utility with the attack down, crit down. Literally, I would rather have Angra on, if I was gonna have to make a proper team for a boss fight and then delete a unit and randomly slap on Jekyll and Hyde or Angra, I would pick Angra. Because I at least get an NP drain, an attack down, a crit down, you know, and some decent normal card damage. Way better. Wait, and Sanson's way better. Like, Sanson sucks too, but like Sanson at least has debuff clear, which is actually quite rare for low stars. You do not see a lot of low stars with debuff clear. And he at least has that. He at least has generic straightforward damage. And on the off chance that, you know, you have to fight at neutral and they're evil, but you're maybe fighting an Avenger or whatever, and they are evil, he's actually okay, right? He's not amazing, right? But he's okay because he gives you okay NP damage, and maybe even good NP damage, and then the heal, debuff clear, and then the defense down for the teammates. Yeah, of course you're going to get more out of like 100 face and stuff like that, but that's something. That's some good backup, right? It's all right. Now, don't get me wrong, Sanson's not high on the tier list, and I'll update the bronzes too, but he's absolutely better than Jekyll and Hyde. Like, abso-fucking-lutely. I can't think of anything. Honestly, the only other thing that I can think of that's kind of close is Phantom. But Phantom is still better because of the buff removal. But Phantom still is shit. Like, man, he is shit. So Phantom is trying real hard to keep up, but I do think Phantom is better. I definitely think Phantom is better. And that's crazy to say that. Like, I can't think of anything worse than him. I really can't. You know, Phantom's like this, right? He's still dog shit, right? But, like, yeah, Ben K might even be C tier these days. Maybe. I don't know about that, but he's easy D plus or C tier, right? There's no way he's you know, fucking D, and he might even be fucking F, right? Like, there is not one stage in all of FGO that Jekyll and Hyde was even a good budget backup option, like alternative side option for. Not even that. Never. Like, not just, oh, he's bad. Yeah, Caligula's not bad these days. He can get a lot of practical use out of him these days. He's a niche pick, like, absolutely, but he's all right. Yeah, no, Jekyll and Hyde, worst unit in the game, absolutely. You know what sucks though, and going back to my rant earlier, I'll talk about what I talked about earlier again, because I really want Cairo and Aries input on this and stuff. Let me get rid of everyone here that's not a. We'll use Lancer as the example, because I think Lancer is a really good example because Ku is so busted, and then some of the other Lancers have just been so ignored for so long. But this really applies to other rarities, and this is part of why I haven't been doing account reviews as much, right? Because there's a real flaw in like the way that they approach budget units, and we'll get into that here. Let me just get rid of all this stuff here, and we can actually see where. I should have screenshotted my fucking tier list, but I'll go back in the VOD and I'll screenshot it there. I really should have done that. That way, when I want to go back to this and then fine tune it, I can fine tune it faster. So that was a mistake. But yeah, this is not unique to Coup. But this is. I think every class is like this, and it's not like this for high rarity. That's why I bring this up, is because this does not apply to high rarity, and it's easy to see why. And I'll get into all this in a second. Let me just clear all this bullshit out here. They don't even have to be in the right tier. Make sure I'm not accidentally yeeting a Lancer here. Did I yeet a Lancer? I feel like I might have yeeted a Lancer. I'm gonna bring in Gareth though, just cause. Hard to rate a 2-star versus 3 stars, but she's probably B+ because Taun is so good. That's kind of right. Okay, so again, this applies to like all of the classes, and I think this is a real. We're not putting Ben K in, chat. We're not putting. And here I'm gonna have these guys on hand, just so I can talk about them. Because they're relevant, because even if you don't have them, you can summon them, okay? So, if you're like, okay, I need a Lancer, or I've got my 1 gold Lancer, but I need a backup one. Let's say you have Lee. Let's say you have 4-star Lee, and he's NP2, and he's 10-10-10, right? So, that favors art, if that's where you're at. That favors art. And you need a backup Lancer. One, there isn't an art one. Right, we haven't, let me remind you, chat, we haven't gotten a new 3-star in over 2 years, and we don't even have an art Lancer. So, even if you wanted to be just the art guy, you don't even have an option, right? So you pick Coup. And even if, let's say Gareth was art, right? Let's say Gareth is art, you still pick Coup. Even if you're summoning your friend's Castoria, or you have Castoria, there is no world where you would pick like Gareth if she was art over Coup. He's just so much better than her. You would still use your Lee as your main thing, and you have Castoria, buff him and all that, and then your Coup is your cleanup or backup or emergency button, and he's just way better than the other options. And if you have no Lancer, he is just, again, so much better than them. Even if let's say you've got Vinch and Merlin. A lot of people don't have that. Most of the player base doesn't have that. You don't pick Taiga. You don't pick Taiga because Coup is so much better than her that it's still better to. He's just so much fucking better, right? Now, if they would buff Taiga and Taiga was like here, okay, and you have Vinch and Merlin, okay, now it makes sense to level Taiga over Coup, and that's how it needs to be, okay? Because I always talk about this. People are always wanting them to buff units to be up here, right? They want everything to be like, that's stupid, right? Because then you're always got a moving goalpost, and then you accidentally buff someone and they go above Coup, and then you buff everything. It just, no, don't do that. If Coup has to be the best 3-star Lancer, that's fine. And it actually makes sense because he's so powerful lore-wise, and he's popular. So if Coup is going to be the best budget Lancer, okay. I'm okay with that. And I like Coup, so sure, why not? But the problem is he is so much better, you don't, like, it doesn't matter what your support is. And if you have Scatty, then it's just a joke. But, there's no reason to grab these. They're not in striking distance. They're not. And there's no reason for it to be that way. And then when it's like that, and then they buff Coup, that's why I get mad. I like Coup, but I also like the game, and I also like other people getting to do fun stuff. And I want it to be like, oh hey, I'm doing more bustery things. I've got Qin Gong and Shakespeare, and I summon my friend's Merlin, so it makes sense for me to level Taiga then. And then my buddy, he does the art stuff or whatever, or he just likes that unit more, so he goes with that one. But they're really not in striking distance, right? They're really not in striking distance. And that's not just for Lancer. Lancer is probably the worst case of it, but I think Assassin's pretty damn close too, because 100 Face, and I know like Aerie has seen this, right? Aerie uses a lot of the higher rarity Assassins, and 100 Face is still better than them. And it's like what the fuck? It's like, why would you level Curse Arm instead of 100 Face? It doesn't matter if you have Scatty, right? And that does not make it worth it. It doesn't, right? She's so busted. She's so universal. And here's the second half of this. Why it doesn't need to be like this, right? it's not even hard to fix this. I don't think this is hard to fix at all, right? First off, add more low stars. I don't understand why we are missing so many things. We have no one with buff removal resistance. We have no one we don't even have an art DPS Lancer, and that's true for a lot of the card types, like AoE versus single target in different classes. There's gaps everywhere. There's all kinds of like DPS support hybrids we're missing. There's a lot of like normal card focused stuff we're missing. Like there's just it's crazy, right? Like if let's say let's say Gareth was art, right? If Taiga was like this and Gareth was like this, that's so much healthier because now we got a good quick, a good art, and a good buster, and then you have different character designs, so you can kind of go with the one you want, and so you have options, right? Where you really don't have options right now with a lot of the classes, and especially when you get to like the hard stuff like Fluffy and Demeter, you know, and if you are a free to play and you're unlucky and you haven't gotten any of those good golds for that class, because that happens. I know this happens. People get to Demeter and they've never pulled a rare Rider. They've never pulled it. It just hasn't happened, right? Yeah, maybe they pulled a rare Archer, a rare Assassin, but they just don't have a rare Rider, right? And so if you're going to beat Demeter in that context, because you don't get a support, you can't no support summon, you've got to level like Ricky and Ushi, right? Like you've got to level the really good riders. You don't have the luxury of just leveling some stupid shit, right? Because the stupid shit's just too far behind. And so the fix to this is more low stars, so you have more variety, because there's things Ku doesn't do. That's the thing. There is areas that Ku is lacking, but no one else does it either. None of the other low star Lancers can be like, oh well, Ku doesn't have the niche here, but so I'll just pick the other one. None of them have that, right? Like at most Gareth with Pierce and Vulnerability, but you know he has got Sure Hit, so that's pretty damn minor. So more low stars for more card types, and then just buff the units that need it. Why are we this many years in? Like, look at this. Look at, like, you may disagree with me a little bit on the tier list placement, but I think this list is pretty close to the truth, especially when you look at the practical reality of what people actually pull off in the game. You know, people like to say this is better than that, but then the proof is not in the pudding, right? They don't have it. They don't have anything. They just say it. Where when you actually look at the stuff that gets done, the budget clears, the free-to-play setups, and even the whale stuff, when people use a budget unit with whale stuff, like what's getting done, I think this is pretty close to reality here, and it's like, why is the disparity this large, right? It's not hard to be like, okay, yeah, Baldy could use a buff, Deermid could use a buff, Taiga could use a buff, and again, they don't have to go all the way up to Ku tier, but if we get like, something like, if it was like that, this is so much healthier, right? This is so much healthier for the game if it looked like that, right? Then you could easily kind of just focus on what you want to focus on. Again, you need more low star Lancers, I'll say that. They need an art one. They could use a couple, like another Buster one. You need some alternatives here. Honestly, you want like 2 or 3 quicks. You want 2 or 3 Busters, 2 or 3 arts, right? Like, they need a lot more low stars. They really do. Because, yeah, your options suck. Because when I do account reviews, when I look at their golds, I'm like, okay, it really matters. Do they have Merlin? Do they have Waver? Do they have Castoria? That can really change which golds they want to level, right? And it can change what supports, the Lobby supports, like Mozart and Qingong, they want to level. But when I'm looking at, like, if they're lacking, I'm like, oh, wow, they don't have a Rider. The answer is always Ushi or Ricky, unless they need AoE or something, right? And then it's like Medusa or Columbus. And if they need a Lancer, it's always Ku. It doesn't matter if they have Merlin. It's always fucking Ku, right? And like, again, Assassin, always 100 face, and it sucks. It does not need to be that way, and it's only for low stars. So I just hope, we start getting low stars again, because I think this is very easy to fix, and I hope if they buff Ku, oh my god, if they buff Ku again, I like Ku, like favorite Fate character, but he's fine. Like, he's totally fine. I'm never sitting here playing FGO, and I'm like, man, I wish Ku was better, but that never happens. Ever, right? He always works when he's even remotely applicable, right? And then he keeps working when he's not even supposed to be applicable. So I've seen people like, oh, you want Ku to be buffed. No, I really don't. He does fine, right? I don't need Ku to be even more broken, right? I want the other Lancers, for God's sake, to be better. And so one, there's more variety, and then, because like, if you're gonna buff Ku, do it after you buff all the other ones. So I can't, if you walk into this stream and you think these are actually their tier placements, I'm not even gonna get into that. Yeah, I like how that's the problem. That Vinch is C tier, and not the fact that Dearmid is A tier and Castoria is C plus tier, and like Hector's above Castoria. Like, I didn't clue you in, but no, but the Vinch though, the Vinch was the problem there, and clearly Merlin needs a buff because he's lower than them, right? Good lord. Anyway, I think that's enough tier list nonsense and whatnot. We can get back to the game now. Give me 1 second though. I need to turn a fan on and get water. I don't know why it's so fucking hot in my house right now, but it's like scorching heat all of a sudden. Clearly it's the burning rage, chat. All right, give me 1 moment and I shall return. Taking a screenshot, yeah. Look what this green guy thinks. Chat, you want to hear something interesting? I guess this it's kind of an interesting look into like my psychology. When I rant and all that, my my heart rate does not go up, and it does like not, it doesn't actually, like I'm not actually getting mad. It's like I'm like this so much it doesn't it doesn't actually faze me, right? It's kind of weird, but yeah, we've done some tests on that, and yeah, my blood pressure and stuff doesn't, like, I'm not actually getting mad. Actually, when I do get mad, which actually doesn't happen, like true anger, right? Like I'm actually mad. Doesn't happen very often, but I actually normally don't want to talk when I'm mad. That's pretty standard for me. Okay, what does this account need to do? Let's see. I guess it needs to do a lot of this side stuff because there's no reason not to. Some of this stuff will actually be hard for this account because this account sucks. This music though. Yeah, I always enjoy ranting. It's generally more for like fun than anything else. All right, should we start with the hard ones? Chat, What do y'all want to bet that if I summoned my coup, this would be really easy? I don't know what the stage is. I don't even remember. But whatever it is, if I summon coup, I'm pretty sure it'd be really easy. They have insta-death, we have guts, they have debuffs, they have debuff clear, he's got the damage, the survivability, like there's no problem. What do we want to use though? Let's do, maybe Romulus? That's kind of fun. So I think Percival can solo the challenge quest, because mine's not even that upgraded, and we did it on stream, and I did not min-max it, and he almost did it. And I haven't like sat down and min-maxed it yet, but I did it with some other units. And I really think Percival can solo the challenge quest, which is pretty cool, because he's a 4-star in AoE. Because the Rushkull can do it as AoE, which is very impressive, but she is a 5-star, and so Percival doing it as a 4-star and AoE is pretty cool. Alright, let's give Romulus a proper CE here. Romulus is so cool. My god, like, what a Chad. Yeah, I grailed him yesterday, and I was quite happy to do it, so. If Romulus was a 4-star, I would grail him to 90. He's one of those, like, absolutely. Like, he's just awesome. I was so happy with Romulus because, like, in my eyes, right, they fuck shit up a lot, right? They don't respect the source material. They basically make an OC, you know, or they change established things even in Fate. I don't care about that, right? And then, like, they often don't give, even when I like a character, a lot of times they don't give them good ascension options, right? Like all their ascension stages look the same, even though it's a character that they could obviously take and, you know, easily go in different directions with their ascension stages and stuff, but they just don't. But Romulus is so satisfying, right? It's like he had the ascension stages in all the different directions, so you get options. He is rather faithful to what he's based on, but he's still kind of blowing the original Romulus stuff out of proportion as well, but it's done in, like, just, it's good, right? He's got awesome powers and voice. I'm so happy with him. Sadly, he's one of the very few male characters that didn't sell that well. He didn't sell terribly. He sold better than Karen. He sold better than Van Gogh. He sold better than all kinds of stuff, but he's on the lower end. I think out of all the males, he actually might be the lowest selling male, at least in recent history. So I guess Japan just didn't care for the Rome, which clearly means they have bad taste, but okay, I really need to get my Proto-Coup up so I can get his buffs. Let's try to do this without the event CE. It might be scaled for it, and especially for a newbie piece of crap account like this, we might need it, but I'll try without, just because it's 5 AP, so. Yeah, the twins didn't do well either. The twins did really bad. I'm not super shocked by that. I mean, I'm a little surprised, but I never really thought they were going to be super popular. But I'm surprised that they were pretty unpopular, and I was a little surprised by that. I don't know, they were kind of shits in the story. Like, the thing is, the ones you summon are not the ones in the story. Like, they're actually very different personality-wise. But the ones in the story are very unlikable. Like, I mean, they're not like Moriarty or Columbus, which are, you know, they're villains, they're antagonists, but they're awesome, right? Like, I think we've all know what I'm talking about. When you watch a movie or an anime, of course the villain is, you know, a piece of shit, but it's like, yeah, but they're awesome though, and you really like enjoy that. They're just shit, man. Like, they're just nobody, like, they're such like little brats, right? They're not cool, right? They're not badass. They just feel like spoiled dipshits. So yeah, I really did not care for them in the story, although I like them a lot better in the summonable version. They're way better. Let's just do the old mash. Yeah, I didn't really like Chiron in Lost Belt 5, but you're not really supposed to like him there. It's kind of showing, you know, like, the godly side is a dick. Let's see. I haven't ranked up his skills. So, I guess Cope Scope. That's so ridiculous needing Cope Scope to turn 1 NP on him, because he doesn't normally need that kind of help. If for some godforsaken reason we have to go neutral, I guess this makes sense. Hopefully the enemy is a male. If they're not, I am going to have a bad time. Right, I can get, aerial drive. I can get aerial drive now. I need to do that, because that's exactly what this account needs. A little bit of cheating with that craft essence, but I think it's alright. Alright, off we go. I know that I hate that, Cairo. I hate that. Because the VC Braun can. Right? And as can several others, so it's really annoying that pawns can't. At least though, if you do that, he can get that first NP so easily. I think he can get it with a quick card, right? So it's not bad if you want to save his second skill. But he does get less out of it than a lot. Oh, hi, Gilgamesh. I didn't remember this at all. What's his name here? I'm so curious. Like, what on earth is going on right now? I should probably put in the title we're on the Shteno account. There we go. Hey, Looking Glass. I feel like I haven't seen you in forever, but I guess it's because you're always lurking. But thank you for the 42 months. That is such a long time. Dude, I remember when I was... Jesus Christ, I think when I was like messing around in Dark Souls and stuff on stream, I think Looking Glass was here, and then I remember my early streams. That's crazy. I really appreciate it though. I'm ignoring you, Cairo. Okay. Guess we just normal card damage. Wow, Mash got super fucked up there. I guess she's just level 60 and I don't think she has foe items, but damn. His name is Naked Emperor? I don't even... Well, wow, Mash got 2-turned. I guess that's what I get for not leveling her. That's crazy. I should have used her second skill and stuff. Okay, so he's got attack up, crit chance up. And then probably mental debuff immunity, but it could be debuff immunity, resistance. It's resistance, not immunity. Well, he's also Roman. What are the odds that he NPs because he quick charged or because of a break bar gimmick? Let's, you know, here's what we'll do. We'll, Hope Hans lands the 80%. And, you know, we'll see if he can face tank it if it happens to go down that way. He didn't land the defense buff. Didn't land the defense buff. That's really the only one I needed because we'd probably break without it. Well, I didn't do my buster ups, maybe not. Nope. Should have done my buster up. Well, the good news is I can sync up everything proper now. Look at him critting all the time. Can I break here? Maybe I could coup NP. Do my third skill, it's a little wasted here. But you get more Roman stacks if you do that. I don't hate that. Alright, Romulus, let's go. I know what that post is. I remember that. Oh, good day for Cairo on that one. Maximum bad RNG. I can't wait for Cairo to get partner, because then he doesn't have to worry about it anymore. It's been super fun though, like, just having like Cairo, see what he does, you know, when events come out and whatnot. You're totally gonna get it though, like absolutely. Like you hit like way more viewers than you need now to get. I'm really surprised you didn't get on that last one. I thought that was kind of stupid that you didn't. Oh hey, we have Divinity. Finally, we get some synergy there. Dude, if I would upgrade her stuff, she could NP right now, and we would get the defense down. I mean, like, with the metrics they put out, there is literally no reason you should not get partner. Like, you're well above the, like, what you need. Oh, he has damage resist. I wasn't paying attention. Jesus Christ, Looking Glass with 1,500 bits. Dear God. Thank you. Wait, do we not have Pepega? Do we not have Pepega? That's such a good one. I'll have to do that. So I just did all my damage into the damage resist buff, and now we is fucked. So that was a mistake. Oh, Cairo doesn't have it. Well, I tell you what, that play I just made was very Pepega. Like that, like what I just did, completely up that alley. Is there any world that Romulus can go around the wheel and get his second skill again? I don't know about that. We got 1,000,000 attack buffs. I want the NP gain on... Okay, here's... Just... Hit Shteno so she gets her NP, right? Like, that's what I need here. There you go. I feel like Gilgamesh would be happy to hit Shteno in the face anyway. I will never do a 24-hour stream. The only way I would ever do a 24-hour stream is if, like, you know, some, like, big... Somehow it would result in, like, a worthwhile good charity getting a lot of money, right? But I'm a small enough streamer that would never happen. But if for some ridiculous reason that could happen, then I would do it for that. Because I'll put up with, you know, incoherent, you know, babbling for the last 6 hours if it's for a good cause, right? But other than that, no. Like, 24-hour streams aren't even good, right? Like, you just lose your sanity, and, you know, it does not make good content. So, if it's not for a good cause, there's no way. And generally, you can do something for a good cause and not stream for 24 hours. So, Gil quick charged that son of a bitch, and everyone is one turn away from their survivability. Shteno, he probably has mental debuff resistance. But Shteno, you got one job here. You got one job here. Just do it. For God's sake. You'll save everything if you just land the charm here. Oh my god. Oh my god, we're saved. I don't... Shteno account coming in clutch here. So the cool thing is she can actually go way over 100% on her charm if someone else has their NP, and then she can get around a lot of resistance stuff. That was not the case there, though. Now, she's fucking dead, but good enough. Dude, we would have won so much sooner if I did not throw all my damage into the damage resist. I wish this account had Romulus. That's exactly what this account needs, right? Because he has Divinity, and he's cool, and he's not OP, so it'd be like a fair thing to use and stuff. That'd be awesome. But yeah, not leveling regular Ku is just such a problem because he's so good, and then he has Divinity, right? Like, that's like... I have so few options for Divinity right now. Alright, we got it. Yeah, I can see Shteno being pretty good for Achilles. That actually makes sense. There's a variety of ways to make that work good. I'd actually like to try that. Too bad, like if that was a challenge quest that was just always available, we would just like work towards beating it with Shteno down the road, right? Like kind of prepare the account, but nope. Not finishing it with Romulus reset. Like Proto-Coup doesn't even have an animation update. Yeah, we have Herc on this account, but I'm not going to use them because I have another account that's the Hercules account, and we played through like the entire game with Hercules. So the whole point of this account was to show like how you don't need to be carried by Herc. So you know I can't just come over here and be like, oh, I'm gonna level Herc again, right? Which sucks though because he does have Divinity, and if you have Shteno, you want as many things with Divinity as possible. And normally it's fine. If you're a normal player, it's totally just level Coup. Literally no problem. You just level Coup. Sometimes you summon a friend that has Divinity. You're good, right? Maybe you level Caesar, right? You're great. No problem. But because we didn't want to use Coup, because Coup is so busted and we use him all the time, he's like my main unit. You know, we want to do something different, but so that cuts out another unit with Divinity, right? So it's a real issue. Yeah, Gajuna with free-to-play supports and stuff works really well there for the most part. Just get Luvia. Yeah, she's pretty universal. Let's see. Doesn't really matter. I get the command codes, I guess, because they're permanent and important. Well, I have no idea what this stage is, so random berserker it be. What's a berserker that's not too ridiculous? I guess Brunhilde's fine, although she has the event CE, but this is probably a nothing stage anyway. Does Caligula have Divinity? I wouldn't think so. Why is it Kiyohime with Leonidas? That's so random. There's like no connection there. So now I should have used Coup. That has become such a meme. It's bizarre. Well, he's gonna taunt, but he'll probably just die when I NP. Pretty sure Proto-Coup is Brunhilde Beloved, so that's handy. Oh, she tries to burn when you attack her. Hit Brunhilde! Do it! Damn it. Well, he didn't even taunt. Let's see how much damage she'll do here. There's not much reason to have chat in this game. I mean, you could like have a message system to friends. That would be reasonable, right? Like send mail or just a instant message or whatever. Like that's okay. But obviously it should be optional. You could just turn it off. Might even want it off by default. But you know, if they had some kind of communication, it's not that big. Now, guilds would be cool, right? They could do, like, you look at Epic 7 and how they do guilds, or even some of the other games, that would work really well in FGO, actually. Yeah, I don't really want a global chat. I mean, who the fuck even uses global chat in games that have it? Like, I mean, it's kind of fun so people can celebrate when cool things happen or whatever. I mean, if it was opt-in, it's okay, because like I've seen Epic 7's global chat, and it normally isn't actually full of bullshit. But yeah, if it's opt-in, I guess like no harm done. But you don't want it to even be opt-out or forced, right? I wouldn't do that. And I know for a fact the reason a lot of games have global chats, it's so they can send out messages like, oh, this person got this rare thing, and it's because it gives people like false hope. You know, they're like, oh, look how everyone's getting that thing. I should roll and get the thing. That's 100% why they do it. Fucking Vandictus, when someone would get like a rare thing, like the Ragasha or whatever, they would tell the entire server, and you could not opt out. It would always pop up in the corner. So they wanted to be like, oh, look how, they wanted people to think that it was like easy to get the thing. Like, it's so scummy. But yeah, I think guilds and FGO would be fine because again, you don't have to join one, and then you have a serious degree of curation to stop, you know, trolling bullshit and, you know, all that nonsense. And then you could do things like guild bosses and all that. You know, there's a lot of fun stuff other games have done with the guild system, and that'd be really cool. I'd love that in FGO actually. Like, I'd really like that. Like, one of the few things I like about Epic 7 is the guild system. Like, honestly, like, Epic 7 lets you trade basic mats with each other. You can't trade everything, but you can trade basic mats. You have guild bosses. You can just talk to each other, and there's a lot of... It's good, right? And I think that would actually I think a guild system would be better in FGO than it would be in Epic 7. Although Epic 7 is the one that has it, and then FGO doesn't, but kind of typical. We'll use Tesla, why not? Probably my next level 100. Just really hoping for an animation update. Pretty much every time, I want to keep 3 grails on me at all times in case I get coup coins. But anytime I go over 3 grails, I'll grail Tesla until he's 100. And then if they don't add anything that I like, I'll either grail a Beowulf from 90 to 100, or I'll grail Leonidas, I think. I might grail my Caligula more. I probably will at some point. Might be a while, but... Oh, this is a fun stage, but this Shteno account is not the account to be testing shit on. I'm sure Tesla can just solo this. That was so unlucky. That was so unlucky. I really need to give him the buff success chance command code by default. That was crazy unlucky right there. Thankfully his damage is still good, but god damn. What I like about David is if we stun, it's fine. Like, we keep the evade. I don't think I would grail Romulus. Simply, I like him a lot, but he's so good at 90. I'm like, yeah, I'll just use the grails for the other stuff that needs it more. If I ever ran out of the low stars, though, that I really liked, he'd be pretty high on the list of 5 stars that I would grail, though. And you might say, oh, you say you're grailing Tesla. That's because I really like Tesla. It's rare that I grail 5 stars. Unless it's an ult account, and then I'll grail, like, whatever the fuck. I could just chain. This is fine. I know, I need coup coins. I think I have Luvia coins lost, so I would give them to you if I could. If I could trade Luvia coins for coup coins, I'd do it in a heartbeat. I hate that I have grails, I have embers, I have I can't grail coup. I can't, like, it's not possible. I could roll, right? I think I've got about 800 SQ right now, but you know, there's no reason to roll right now. Nice damage, nerd. Also, can you stop debuffing Tesla, please? I'll clear it next turn. Dude, you guys have no idea how much I want Tesla to get an animation update and then just be level 100. He's so cool, dude. I remember liking him from the get-go, but then his story presence was so bad. But then I read his character material book, and then like the Scatty interlude. Dude, he gets more characterization in the Scatty interlude than his own. It makes no sense. But he's so awesome, right? Like he's so high on my list these days. I just wish he actually got to be cooler in the game, but what are you gonna do? Hey look, I need buff success chance again. Hey, at least we landed it. He'll face tank it because of the stuff. I could have Mash give it. You know what? Let's have no. I'll Buster Chain because it's cool. Kind of a waste of Mash's value because she could die here. She probably wouldn't. Man, I might have to, if they ever raid up Tesla, I might have to roll on him just for coins. I hate that that's a thing, but like I really do want a big, strong Tesla, right? I don't want just like level 90, 10, 10, 10, right? I want more lightning. They've used Tesla in more serious ways than Edison, like definitely. And he's getting no help from his teammates, but he's still doing pretty good, I would say. Like he's NPing often, he's doing solid damage. Alright chat, what about y'all? What are you like, I really want to get that to 100. What are you looking at? Or even 120. What's the thing you're really ready to power up? You've already done that. Well, I guess you don't have Mango at 120, I guess it's 100. Shiki, yeah, that makes sense. Too bad she's not on you don't have her on JP right now. Maybe one day. Gilgamesh should be a fun one at 120. Oh, I got some Caligula hype that's not coming from Cap'n. That's nice to see. Although no one can match Cap'n, but you know. Asterios, that's fun. Nice thing about Asterios is if you save up, if you're on an A, I don't know if you are or not, but if you're on an A, you can save up FP now and get most of your coins when he actually gets the update. That's pretty interesting to think about a 120 Asterios, because then you're much better at phase tanking to get the ball rolling, and then his normal card damage with his like Star Absorb, Buster Up, Attack Up, all that is actually going to get pretty high. That's actually quite interesting. Herpetrot. She's good. Oh, we got that Omega Pirate music. I need to stream Metroid Prime more. I'll probably stream that over Dread just because it's so hard to play Dread with the controller situation right now. I like Dread just fine, but I really like Metroid Prime, man. I love that game. I have no idea what enemies spawn on this one, so I'm just gonna pick a Craft Essence at random from the bonus ones and hope I pick the right one. I don't really farm this one on main. And also my main has all of them limit broken, so it doesn't even matter. Although actually, hold up. Let's get some management stuff done here. I don't want it. The thing is, the other adapter has like problems, and like it doesn't detect like the stick properly, and also there's no world or me. Like I like you know, pretty much any Xbox controller, GameCube controller. You know, that style is what I like. I don't like like where the Pro controller, where like the B button is like the right button, right? Like the back button is like to the right instead of I don't or no, how do I explain it? Like how they do the A button, like the go forward, the confirm button is to the right. And then like I don't, so that's how PlayStation is a lot of the time. And I also don't like the symbols and all that. That stuff always messes me up. Like for example, when there's mini games, like in something where the game is like you have to quickly click, you know, A, X, 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 A, B, Y, A, you have to do stuff like that really fast. So you have to like really memorize the controller and like know it. I am amazingly good at those if it's on you know, Xbox controller or GameCube controller, and like any Xbox style controller, no problem. But if I have to do that on a Pro controller for the Switch, or a PlayStation controller, any of them, 2, 3, 4, 5, doesn't matter, I can't do it at all, right? I can't, and it's just a catastrophe, and I don't even like it. Yeah, Gladius, if I had to do Gladius and PlayStation, it'd just be awful. But yeah, I've never liked it's mostly Japanese. Japanese developers generally like the confirm button, like the go forward button being on like the right. I don't know how to really describe it. That's just how they always do it, instead of like the center or the bottom. And I don't care for that. And like GameCube is the one Nintendo controller I like because it's the only one that's not like that. So it's easy for me to work with. Music is indeed looping, but the song is really good, so we'll let it play and then we'll switch. Figure the music's been looping for a while. Dude, Wiimotes are awful. Like, who the hell wants to use a Wiimote? Alright, let's get that aerial drive. That's so good on this account. Yeah, aerial drive, and even Halloween Princess, and then Maiden Halloween. Those are really worth getting. The rest of them, not really, but, oh crap, I don't have enough of the map for it. Damn it! But it's interesting because some people have used the same controller for like years and years and years and years and years, and then they have to use a different one, and their muscle memory is just so off, right? It's very preference based and that kind of thing. You know, I like mouse and keyboard, any Xbox style controller, and then GameCube. Like I'm super comfortable with all that stuff, and I can play like seamlessly, right? And if you're playing a competitive game or a difficult game, you know, Ninja Gaiden, you know, or a PvP game, fighting game, you know, anything like that, you cannot use a controller you're not in sync with, right? That you're having to stop and think about, wait, what do I need to press? You can't do that. It has to be second nature, right? You have to be like, I want to jump, and it just happens, right? You don't have to think about what button to press to jump, right? That'll fuck you up so bad. Yeah, Halloween Princess. That's the one. Yeah, I'm really glad they brought back some of those craft essences, because I think they're going to do it in the future. They'll probably package some events together like this again. So I think there's hope for Gold. Because there's multiple ways Golden Sumo can come back now, right? They could rerun the event like they did with Nero Fest, or they can do one of these package events where they bring back a lot of old stuff with it, stuff like that. So I think it'll happen eventually, and my God, is that going to be a like godsend to the player base. All right, let's get some clean up here. I'm never going to use one of these individually outside of like the leveled up ones, so to give us false hope, I don't think so. I mean, aerial drive is so good that I think it's pretty, you know, real hope. Yeah, Ox King would be a nice one to come back. That's such an unliked event, though. I would not hold your breath on that one. And it didn't have a welfare. I think welfares and boost the odds quite a bit, because you want to give out the coins for the old welfares. So like Shiki looking good, right? Unfortunately, did Shiki's event have good CEs? I don't think so. That's pretty old, and a lot of the older ones weren't so good. Making sure I'm doing the right CE on the right, like, fusion. Yeah, Decapitating Bunny is good. That one is good. It's niche, but it is good. I must have gotten a CE drop on this account. I've already read Atlantis and all that. Like, I've read the translations from many different people, so I know it really well, but I still want to read it just there, right? A lot of the other NA stuff, if I've read the translations, I don't bother to read it. But I did for Lost Belt 1, and actually I've gone back and read like Lost Belt 2 now on NA properly and stuff, and some of the other ones. But I'll read 5. I'll read 5. Yeah, but I'm with Cairo. I'm so excited to read Lost Belt 5 too. That one I'm ready for. So I still need a Cleopatra one. Alright, unfortunately, aerial drive is not ready yet. I will be so glad when it is. Yeah, Canis and Wadim were just awesome. They were great. I should really give him the Cleopatra one, but lazy. Alright, we need Ushi Bond and George Bond. No matter what spawns here, we got it. After this event is over, though, we're going to get back to actually playing this account. And I'm going to try to make some real progress. And I want to get, I want to beat Lost Belt 4 so I can get Asclepius. So we're not going to roll any until then. So I think a lot of people like 5-1 because they like the cast a lot, which is fair enough. Like, people really liked Jason and all that stuff. And I really do like the cast in 5-1. Like, I like 5-1 a lot, but I do like 5-2 more. It's like, you get a lot more meat of, like, the Greek gods, and you're getting Zeus and all that good stuff, and all the build-up with, like, Romulus and all that. I really like it. I wish we could have had, like, them kind of fused together, right? Because here's the thing. 5-1 doesn't even need to exist. Right, obviously the characters are cool and everything, but look at the overarching story. It's just an excuse for you to get around an arbitrary shield that's around Olympus. That's all it is. It's literally all it is, right? Like, it's a made-up obstacle to just slow down Lost Belt 5. They just elongated it, right? They wanted it to last longer, so they just made it. Like, everything you're overcoming is just useless obstacles that don't really matter. They don't pertain to the main story of Lost Belt 5 or the overarching story of Lost Belts in general. And that kind of sucks, to be honest. So I think they could have encompassed a lot of that and still had a lot of the, you know, the character development, all that, and just had it happening during 5-2, right? 5-1 is so pointless, but the characters are great, right? Like, no issue there. And like, you could have all this stuff still with Poseidon and all that. You can still do a lot of the stuff that they did and not have like this just sideshow, because that's what it is. It is a sideshow. What happened? Why in God's name is Shin Gong dead right now? Excuse me. The thing is, 6-1 isn't 6-1. I feel like people have fallen for a marketing, like, I really want to hear from chat if they agree with me on this, because I feel like they literally pulled the wool over people's eyes here, and like, they act like, you know, 6-1, air quote, 6-2, 6-3 is like equivalent to 5-1 and 5-2. It's not! Like, they're not the same thing at all, right? In terms of actual content, Lost Belt 6 is just like any other goddamn Lost Belt, right? And they just arbitrarily time-locked it into 3 chunks. And people act like it's like, oh, it's like 5-1 and 5-2, but we didn't have to wait as long. It's not like that at all, right? Like, if you take out the time locks, Lost Belt 6, the amount of actual stages and content that's there is the same length as fucking everything else. and they just made you wait forever just because, and it's like a PR thing. They're trying to make you they're trying to make people feel like they were getting content faster when they were actually getting it slower, and like it worked. It literally worked. I've seen people say, oh, it's so nice that we got like 6.2 and 6.3 so much faster than we got 5.2. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's like you literally got less content and it was dripped to you over a ridiculous amount of time. You know, it's just, I've seen, like, it was, I think, clearly PR. I think it was clearly PR, and it was a way for them to take a certain amount of content and stretch it out over a longer period of time, because they didn't have events ready and things like that. And it worked. It made the player base actually think they were getting, like, more boom for their buck, if you will. I don't think any of the time locks needed to be as long as they were. I think they could have been, like, you know, 3 days, for God's sakes. Like, at most a week, right? There's no reason for it to be like it was. I actually don't, I literally don't mind them being a bit time gated, because that keeps all the, like, spoilers down, and it kind of keeps everyone on the same page a bit, you know, that's okay. So like 2-day, 3-day time locks, even a week, that's okay, right? And that lets people take their time and like not feel like they gotta go, right? And they can, like, you know, reset the boss to have fun if you want to, and it's not a big deal, right? So a little bit of time gating, sure, and that buys a little time to maybe clean up, you know, maybe a few sprite models that they were rushing and stuff. Then that's good. If they need to work behind it, that's okay too, right? But they did like 3-week time gates, and they did it like multiple times. It's like, that's so unnecessary. That's almost a month. It's like, are you kidding me? I guess I do the attack up. Might not need it. Oh, they're not servants actually, so we will need it. Yeah, I actually agree with Ari. I actually think some degree of time locking is actually nice, right? Because instead of it being like when we're trying to talk about the, you know, Calamity, and everyone, you know, a bunch of tryhards are already at Fluffy, right? We don't need that, right? Like, so a little bit of time locking I actually think is pretty healthy for the game, and it also will elongate the hype for, like, you know, social media and wanting to promote the game, because they're kind of, you know, but they did it in such like long stretches, right? They made us wait so long that nobody needed to catch up, and we're all just sitting here, you know, twiddling our thumbs for weeks and weeks. Like that just sucked. Yeah, there's always people that like try to rush to the very end as fast as possible, because that's where most of the, like, you know, really surprising stuff is going to be. And they, you know, and like YouTube people want to get them views so they can grab like animations for characters that aren't summonable yet, and you know, it's always that stuff. So, you know, is it really their guide to just use blue cubes? Because that's actually really dumb, because even if you need to use blue cubes, you still need to get as much done as possible. And I know, I've seen it. I've seen players get to Fluffy, have literally no concept of what to do, and have to CS to res, blue cube, CS, SQ, SQ. Like, they're just getting destroyed. They're so fundamentally not approaching it right. And some people won't have blue cubes, right? You might start playing the game later, you won't have blue cubes. And a lot of people don't want to use SQ to res for all kinds of reasons, and so it's useful to give people, like, actually explain to people how to fight the boss, because it's a hard fight. It's a really hard fight, but there's a lot of tips you can give people. There's a lot of little nooks and things that can really help people out and make them get a lot more value, like a lot more value. So I think if people are being like, oh, just use SQ or just use command spells and stuff, it's because they don't know the game that well, and then you have no business making guides, right? If you can't sit down and fight Fluffy and actually figure out what is practical to free-to-play people and new players and stuff, and what you can actually do to make the fight easier and have a better chance at it, if you can't figure that out, you have no business making guide videos, because it's not even that hard to figure out. It's not. It's hard to beat Fluffy, but it's not hard to narrow down what actually works on a free-to-play setup and like what gets the job done. It's not hard to figure out. And when you look at the free-to-play setups out there for Fluffy, they all have some pretty similar stuff in common. Like, they all do. I really wish Fluffy did not take so much AP. I think that was a terrible decision on their part. And it should have just been like 5 AP, or even 1, or none. Like, who cares if a really hard boss fight takes no AP? So is that all it says, Lost? Is there no extra information about, like, you know, bringing Asclepius and, like, timing things? You can use Taunt to cancel his turn, and Ku's really good there because he has so much survivability, anti-debuff, and anti-berserker. Like Ku is the best free-to-play DPS there. It's not, no competition. There's literally no competition. He is the best one, 100%. There's really not even that good of any other options, right? Ku is the free-to-play DPS option there, and then your supports are Han, Smash, Asclepius, sometimes David, and then even Fuma. Like, those are the things worth thinking about. Nemo is not good there. That makes no sense. Level your servants and craft their and try again. I wish we had story replay. I would literally, when it comes to NA, I'd make a video to like really talk about it and try to give people like, okay, if you don't have a good DPS, you need to level Ku. If you have a good DPS, then focus on these supports, right? And if you have Merlin, how can you use them? Because there's a lot of different like module aspects to that, how to make a team there. I think almost anybody can make a good team there, right? You have to be unlucky as fuck not have at least one of the things in your favor. And if you literally have none of the rare applicable stuff there, level Ku. You literally have to. If you have no like good rare DPS there, you have to level Ku. Like or you're gonna have to use a bunch of resources for like rezzing and stuff. Yeah, I need to make talking videos more because people say it helps a lot, and it's time. Like I run out of time to make that kind of stuff. But like with the free 5-star, it is really worth talking about how Joan of Arc is better than people think, and especially for Fluffy and whatnot. And Kidu, same deal. And Kidu's not just good for Fluffy; he's good for just, I mean, so much content. And like you can make whole teams around in Kidu for Fluffy. I really hope we get story replay or something. I really want to make some kind of video to be like, look, if you have this, use this. If you have that, use that. Because I think a lot of people are going to get there, and they're going to, in the back of their head, they're going to want to try to figure it out legit, but they don't want to waste too much AP, and, you know, it's so tempting to choose blue cubes and stuff, but I'm telling you, I think a lot of people will be satisfied and feel very proud and happy, and they'll remember it. It'll be very memorable if they beat Fluffy without using blue cubes. So if I can help people, like, point them in that direction, I want to at least let people know it's not hopeless, right? Like, a lot of people act like that fight's completely hopeless for free-to-play. It's not. It is not. It is nasty, but yeah, people want to read the story. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why people want to blow through it, and I get it, right? I do get it, but that's why they added command codes and all that stuff. Let's see, what any other free quests I haven't done yet? Because I need to at least do them all once. What is someone here? Why not? We'll do Medusa. See if she can carry. I know, imagine having story replay in a single player game. That's a concept. My lack of writer is really haunting me right now. I wanted to make a Demeter video like I did for King Potato Chips. I made a 1 to 3 star video, and I hope that helps people, but it's harder to find, right? I think it was very easy for people to find my King Potato Chips video. And I know that fight really well, and I could easily make a video really explaining how to beat Demeter, even if your account sucks balls, right? And you know, letting people know Asclepius is good there, not Asclepius, Martha, you know, for the buff removal or any kind of buff removal like Alex. You know, those kind of quick pointers to make it much, much easier. And if you don't have those, which budget units you can level to fill in the gaps. If you got Aussie, use that, things like that. I could make a really good video there, I think, and I think that a lot of people are scared of that fight. But what was going on? Because Demeter was an anniversary fight, and I wanted to make it. I literally did not have time. Because like I barely had time to even make the video that I made, which didn't have commentary. Oh yeah, I have friends that don't care about the hard content and just wanted to do the story, and that's fine. Literally no problem. However, the opposite is very true too, and it's actually not. That's not. People act like it's rare. I just see this the most. People act like the majority of the player base doesn't care about the game at all and they only care about the story. I don't think that is true at all. Like, there are some people like that, and there's nothing wrong with it, but I think there are a lot of fucking people that they're in the middle. They like a bit of both. But honestly, I think a lot of people skip the story. I think a lot of fucking people skip the story. Like, I know loads of people that they skip Lost Belt 5, for God's sakes, which, you know, I think is blasphemy, but, you know, that's what they want to do, you know, good on them. Oh yeah, no, I get you, Ari. I see the opposite, actually. I think the most, where people act like there's no one that's gameplay focused, but I think that's crazy. But yeah, both exist, and they even said they put out blue cubes for the people that didn't want to deal with, like, you know, Dark Souls nonsense, and that's fine. I don't know. I think blue cubes were a little too far, I do feel like. And again, even when people don't like adversity a lot of times does make things more rewarding. And also, you can just look up the story online if you truly just want to just read it and like not use your favorite characters and that kind of stuff. I think command spells were always really good, right? I think command spells are a very good way to do it. I think blue cubes were too much, right? I think blue cubes were a little ridiculous, and they kind of take a lot of the tension out of the game, and it basically made the difficulty opt in, and I don't like that. I don't mind when difficulties opt out, but I don't like when difficulties opt in, right? And I feel like blue cubes kind of made difficulty opt in if you're playing the content and when it's relevant. Obviously, if it expires, right, and you're coming in late, then it's different, but because, and I know it because people in my chat have even said it. This is what I mean by being you're having to opt into the difficulty. And I bet you there's people in my chat right now that did what I'm explaining. They got to Fluffy, and they wanted to see the story. They didn't want to waste loads of AP because they still want to farm and everything. And they cheesed the shit out of Fluffy. They used maybe, you know, command spells, blue cubes, and maybe even SQ, right? And they just immediately cheesed it. But in the back of their head, they're like, I don't know if I want to do this or not. But they did it because it's like tempting, right? Because the option is there, it tempts them. Every time they wipe and they see that, you know, blue cube option or command spell option, they're tempted. Maybe I should do that. But they're always tempted by it. And then sometimes they regret it, sometimes they don't, right? Different players are okay with doing it, some aren't. And the fact that it's there and it's always tempting, people on the fence a lot of times end up, you know, jumping the fence because of it. And I don't think that's good, right? That's why I think it being a bit more, you know, I think command spells were a lot better because there's a limited supply. And because they're limited supply, it's like psychology. Even though you have almost nothing else to use them on, a lot of people just won't use them. And and the people that just want to see the story will happily use them. I think that works a lot better, right? And that gets a lot more people to not just, you know, blow by content and then later on they're like, I don't know if I should have done that, because I know it happens, and I know people. I've had people tell me they wanted to fight Fluffy legit, but they didn't because they didn't want to waste the AP, right? They don't want to waste the AP. They're like, so yeah, I'm not. Blue cubes are just, I think, way too much. I think it was very unnecessary. Yeah, SQ, it really hurts to beat SQ, use SQ to beat stuff, because, yeah, that affects your summoning and whatnot, so you don't want to do that. I use CS for farming more than anything by far, either for just stupid shit, or I tried to solo something and they failed and then I res them, and or just, you know, like, because what else am I going to use them on? I figure I might as well. See, if I had my own rider, this would be looking a lot better right now. I like how they have pumpkins on their statues. I didn't realize that. Well, there goes our NP gain. I like how I stunned the wrong one, because this one had the 2 actions, so I should have stunned him instead. And then he just obliterated my NP gain there. Oh yeah, if you just absolutely... Like, you should obviously try to beat the Knights of the Round without using an SQ Revive, or at least give it a couple of attempts and, you know, fix the team up a bit, so you're not gonna have to be, you know, too impractical. But if you're totally stuck on it and you just don't want to deal with it, you might... if you just throw some SQ Revives at it and the 3 CS Revive at it, you're gonna beat it. Just bring something that's good at AoE, right? And you might as well then, because, like Ari said, the reward is 5 summon tickets, which is worth a lot more than a few SQ. But honestly, I really stand by this. If you're struggling with Knights of the Round and your account does not have good servants for it, you can at least summon one support, like God Juna or Merlin, Waver, some, you know, either strong support or strong DPS that's good for it, and then bring the best you got, and you'll be able to beat it with just the CS. If you just min-max a little bit, you can just beat it with the CS. And if you barely don't beat it with the CS, then you can clearly beat it with just 1 SQ after that, and then you're trading 1 SQ for 5 summon tickets, right? And that's still really good. I think you get a lore too. I think you get a lore, 5 summon tickets, or something. Or it might be a QP. I think it's QP actually. I have 4 NP gain down. Big oof. Did I even get NP on that turn? Like, I did a quick attack. Man, I'm gonna lose my attack up because I don't have my NP. Feels bad. God damn. This Mystico is not particularly helpful. This was so sloppy. This account needs Spartacus and Arash pretty bad. They're my next level ups because I need them for AoE content in Babylonia anyway. Oh, she still did alright. Hey, at least Atalante exists. Let's see. I'm trying to think of my main account if I have any. Let me switch because I'm gonna wrap up soon because it's getting kind of late and everything. But I want to switch to my main and look at what I have for archers because you know Billy's my go-to archer generally, even though he's, you know, not as strong as I might like, but. Scuffed gameplay can be really fun. I like it when it's not like so scuffed that it's like not fun, where like, you know, all your cooldowns are super long and that kind of thing. But when you have to like make some things work together that normally wouldn't, and you have to find ways to get the most value out of it as you can, that can be really fun. Like I like, because then you have to think about a lot of the core gameplay, like, you know, what order to put the cards in and things like that you don't actually have to worry about a lot of the time. It's not anymore. Like, really optimal gameplay, especially for high stars, is actually really boring. Like, it's crazy boring. Oops. There we go. Like meta low star stuff I think is way more fun than meta high star stuff because there's way more variety. You still care about normal cards and a lot of stuff like that. But the issue with low star meta stuff is, like I talked about earlier, is just that Ku is always the best Lancer, 100 Face is always the best Assassin, right? Like the supports are more varied, but that's a real issue for low star stuff, and it's fixable. Oh, I think I still have a bunch of SQ in my... Yeah, I do. Oh yeah, my login streak feels good. Okay. Whiffing AP, but it's not that big of a deal. Okay, let's see. AoE archers. Okay, so first up we got Billy. That's not AoE. We got Tesla. Okay, so I imagine right there that's probably more than you've got on JP area if you're still in single target hell, because he's in P2 and Tesla really is a good AoE archer. It may not be the best, but now Gil doesn't count because he's only here for the dragon quest because I got him on my ult, so he doesn't even have all his buffs, so Gil doesn't count. Calamity Jane, that single target. Oh boy, though, Tesla's about it, isn't it? Wow, yeah. I guess Nightingale, but she doesn't really work for that, right? She's more about the utility. Chiron, single target, single target, single target. Okay, the Atalante. So it's Tesla and Atalante. And Atalante is good, right? Mine's quite upgraded. So level 80, but still, she's 10, 10, 10. I think NP5, because lucky. Yep, NP5. Okay, kind of Imia, but he's scuffed. He's 8, 6, 7. I'm actually shocked I upgraded him that much. And then he's only NP2. So, I mean, yeah, it works. I mean, you can use him, and I have some. But compared to Tesla, Atalante, Arash, and Spartacus, not a lot of need for Imia. I remember using him a bit in the early days, when I didn't have as much stuff, and that's why he's probably Bond 6, but like Atalante is probably higher than that. Oh no, she's only Bond 6 too, that's actually surprising. I guess I just use Arash and Spartacus Tesla a lot these days. I haven't had Tesla as long, but he's already Bond 6. Kat and Ishtar NP1, that's pretty rough, because Ishtar is very normal card focused anyway, and then NP1 is never your, like, you know, yeah, let's do it, right? And yeah, on your JP account, your Atalante is not like super maxed yet or anything like that. So yeah, you do have a bit of a... You got a Rosh though, you got a Rosh, so that helps. You must, I would imagine, use a Rosh a lot then, I would think. You got great single target, your single target's looking real good. My single target's actually a bit lacking, it's okay, but the only thing that's super strong is Billy, and Billy's not that good of a 3-star. Like, he's good, he's solid, but he's no 100 face, he's no coup, you know, he's not... When you grail him to 100, he's not like a proper 5-star. He absolutely isn't. Coup is, like, easy. He's actually better than a lot of them, but Billy is not like I win button, right? Like, no way. And Calamity Jane is good, but she's no super carry either. Yeah, I don't really have a super carry archer for single target. Yeah, no, I absolutely do not. Because then it goes all the way down to Chiron and all that. So yeah, I very much don't have an archer carry, but thankfully, you know, Robin at 70 is really good, and David's 70 is really good, and I do have Billy. So yeah, that's an obvious gap though in my account. As good as my account is, you know, it's a very strong account, but single target archer is a clear problem. And I could always make it Gil, but again, Gil main account, alt account thing. Hey, Codmaster, thank you for the 1 year around the button. That's a long time of support. Oh look, I passed the David test. Yeah, when you've been playing that long, it'd be rare not to. I'm surprised. Yeah, you know, I remember. I think I leveled Chloe during a lottery event, and I just had to throw the XP at something. But I didn't take her to 80 because I did not want her to show up with my other 80s. Like that's straight up why. I don't like Chloe at all, so I was like, oh, I'll level it, I guess, but it doesn't get to max. I'm very happy with my account though, man. It's like, the archer thing is an issue, so what I need them to do is they need to add like a 4-star or a 5-star archer that I really like. Like, I don't know, Butch Cassidy. Dude, that'd be great. And then if I need to like them enough where I can like grail them if they're a 4-star, and if they're a 5-star, I don't need to grail them. And because like I like Calamity Jane, but she looks so ridiculous. And there's no way I'm taking her to 100, right? It was pushing it to take her to 90. I need them to add someone that I really like, and if they're a 3-star or a 4-star, I can take them to 100 and be happy with it. And if they're a 5-star, then I don't need to touch them, right? But that hasn't really happened. Yeah, Archer Herc, that would probably do it. That's probably never gonna happen though. Or they'll do it when I have no SQ or something. That would be painful, dude. Like if I just rolled on something and then they added Archer Herc and I had no SQ, I'd be sad. Yeah, I'm generally stacked on night classes, except for Archer. I like Lancer and Saber, I'm always stacked on. I mean, Ku, and then Mordred, you know, Arthur, Lancelot, Siegfried, Burgess, right? Like, it's just, there's so many Sabers and Lancers, it's crazy, you know? Very good options on those. And then I guess Caster's a little weak for DPS, but it always is. Actually, it doesn't have to be. If I wanted it to be good, I have Plot Monk, and I've been spooked, so she's like NP3. But I don't use 5-stars much, so it's hard to get me, unless I really like them, it's really hard to get me to want to like 10-10-10 them and put them in videos and stuff. So I haven't, I don't really ever use her, but she is good. Proto Gill with an STNP, it could happen, that'd be interesting. I'd grail that. Anyone else in chat that would grail Proto Gil, excuse me, if he got added? Especially if he was a 4-star. He's probably going to be a 5-star though, but you never know. I don't even remember what her third passive is. I have no idea. Maybe it's Berserker, I don't know. I did not, not a unit I really keep track of. That's not Ku. One of these days. Alright, boys, I think we'll wrap up there. It's getting late. Well, not much going on JP now, because we've done the challenge quest and all that. So we might start playing some other games again for a bit. Maybe play some Metroid Prime or, you know, whatever chat can come up with. We might mix it up a bit. Maybe do some Arc Nights, right? I've been enjoying Arc Nights, man. I've been loving it. But thank you all for hanging out. Yeah, Ninja Gaiden, that needs to happen. That definitely needs to happen. But I suspect we're not going to have any content on JP for a little while, so. Okay, who we gonna raid? Oh, Phantom guy, easy pick. Oh god, he's doing the bounty quests right now. It looks like the Liz one. I don't know how I don't think he can do his gimmick, dude, on the Shadow Knights. Like Liz probably, but unless he uses CS and stuff, I don't think he can do it. I don't know. I mean, some other units can really carry. I don't know. That's going to be tough. But yeah, send him some luck. All right, boys. Go get him. Even the Liz fight, I think, is going to be super hard. But that one is beatable, I think. But yeah, I don't know about Shadow Knights. All right, but be nice, chat.